Well, happy Friday to everybody out there. My Lord, my camera is way up close in my face. Holy smokes. Good to be here with you. That is way too close. What in the world?
Oh, boy. We're going to have to fix that, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. I'm going to turn it around or something. Nobody wants to see that. Look around at my nose.
I'll put it on Ben here.
Yeah, put it on Ben.
Solo shot.
Look how handsome Ben looks today.
Looking good.
Hi, Benjamin.
Hi, everybody.
It's good to be here with you guys on a Friday, and the mood is light and airy and fun in here this morning, certainly. Mostly because there was no, I missed having a game last night, certainly, but, no crushing defeat or Xander Bogaerts off the hook for another day at least. Man, we spent a lot of time talking about that guy yesterday, more than I would have liked, to be honest with all of you. But it's great to be here with you on a Friday, last show of the week for us. I'm Woodsy. Paul Ryle is literally hovering over my shoulder trying to get the camera dialed in because we are also on YouTube. You may be listening on your radio going, I don't know what you're talking about. We're also on YouTube. You can watch it there. A lot of people in the chat already, which is incredible. Thank you guys for being here. And Ben Higgins is your friendly neighborhood sports anchor. He joins us as well. Good morning to you.
Good morning. I woke up today and, grabbed the phone to see what happened in the 5 hours I was asleep, and usually it's not that much, but there was so much Taylor Swift talk on my timeline this morning.
Yeah.
An insane amount of Taylor Swift talk. Apparently, she dropped a new album last night, but then...
Yeah, double album.
Then she dropped another album, essentially.
Nice to be...
Two times the number of songs.
Nice to be so prolific that you just have, just loads of songs that are done and ready to go, and then you're like, here's an album. And then you're like, here's another album. It's incredible, actually. She's a very talented human being. I was talking to Paulie about it off the air this morning. I saw the same thing that you did when I woke up, Ben. And I got in the car, and I said, I'm going to listen to some of it. And I listened to the first track she did with Post Malone, and I said, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. And I told Paulie, because she sounds a little bit like Lana Del Rey. And I said, I really like female singers a lot. And I really like when they jam a bunch of words into their I was standing on the street next to the spotlight and looking at, and I'm like, I like that. I like it's very poetic to
You're
me.
very Ben-like this morning.
A lot of likes, yeah. But
you wish Bernie Taupin wrote all the lyrics for the women. He loves to jam lots of words in.
And I just thought to myself, I said, I like the cadence of it, and that words are very important to me. They are. And I just was like, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. So I listened to it coming in. And Paulie and I talked about how she's a little bit caught in between not having to, but catering to a very young crowd, but also an older crowd of 40-year-old women, 45-year-old, and men too, whatever. She's kind of in between. So she can do the love songs, the yearning songs, but she also needs to be, has to keep her pop sensibilities.
At this point, I think she's just catering to human beings now on the planet Earth, who seem to be
she does
what she wants.
Her fan base seems to be the 8 billion people on planet Earth right now.
It's crazy, man. Crazy,
and she's pretty much captured them all.
And so I listened to some of it. I'll probably listen to some more later. But a prolific artist, certainly. I mean, just no shortage of material.
I'm not, you're the music expert in the crew, but anytime I've ever heard a artist talk, they say, writing a song, so very difficult.
To do a good one, yeah. To write a good one.
And yet, she's how many did she drop yesterday? 30?
Right.
I don't know the final count.
Songs. And you got to think, too, there's 60 that she went to choose from. And you know what I mean? They're done.
And
those are the 30 best
Her standards,
ones.
I think, are pretty high. She's not
gonna
put something out if she doesn't feel good about it. Like, this is terrible, but I just need to fill out the last song or two. She must feel pretty good about all of them. Yet, seems like she's also a busy person doing lots of other things as well, like touring and dating Travis Kelce and flying to Chiefs games. Yet
I feel like she balances it well.
Yes, she's an overachiever.
Well,
she's an overachiever.
You think about that life that she has, and that many people, nobody's at her level really as far as stardom goes. I think it's a fair statement. No one's really at that level. And you think about how many people have their hand out. You think about how many people she has to worry about, make sure, and she's really good about that too. I respect her a lot. It's not for a 48-year-old man. It's really not. The music is really not made for me. But she has her head on straight, in my opinion. And like I've said it before, what she did for record stores during the pandemic to help keep them afloat is something to be lauded, admired. The most, I mean, you can walk into the seediest record store and the guy is behind the counter and he's in his Descendant shirt and he's punk rock till he dies. And they were all so effusive with their praise of Taylor Swift for sending them signed copies of records that they could sell to keep them afloat. And I just thought that was the coolest, most thoughtful thing to do.
And how she takes care of
her people,
employees and people who work on her tours is pretty amazing. And Roro in the chat says, stick to sports for real, please. I do think there's a lesson here for everybody, including superstar athletes, who...
What are we supposed to talk about right now?
If somebody tells me to stick to sports again, I'm going to jump.
Nothing happened yesterday, but...
Let's get into the NHL.
What is also amazing is you hear the stories, when she shows up at a Chiefs game or something, and how down-to-earth she still is.
Yeah, they're sports.
Despite
Chiefs.
being the biggest star on planet Earth. Despite being the biggest star on planet Earth, that she's remained a fairly down-to-earth, normal person. She hasn't gotten weird like so many pop stars tend to do when they're, and I can understand when you're constantly in the spotlight.
It's weird. It's a little contradictory because I am not a fan of Travis Kelce. Never have been.
Yeah.
Not.
Yeah, you don't like him.
My opinion hasn't changed because they started dating. Not a fan. But if she's happy, great. Power to her. And it's been cool to see her, somebody who has, for all the reasons you just listed, her stardom, how big it is. She's going to Coachella. She's going to football games. Yeah, she's sitting in luxury boxes, but she's living not normal, but she's living more out of her hidden cave than she was.
I complained about having to do stuff. I can't even imagine what that life's like. It's just like,
you don't want that level of thing.
I got to do what? Where do I have to go?
What is she? Is she a billionaire? It's not worth it.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. I mean, it's good. I listened to, like I said, a few tracks this morning, and also saw a couple of tweets coming out. People that we know, our buddy Saris, who we had on yesterday, he didn't even mention he was in Las Vegas yesterday when we had him on, and he was in Las Vegas for the Fish Spear residency, and I saw some video come out of that, and I went. Holy cow. Now, I went to the U2 one. The visuals for that were stupid good. It's the best night of my life. I mean, truly. It was like the best, other than my kids being born and all that garbage. It was the best night of my life. Being at that show, seeing what I saw, feeling like I felt. There was nothing like it. I saw these visuals last night. I go, I don't even like Fish, and I want to go. Staggeringly incredible. Knowing everyone in that place is like, eyes just bugged out of their
I completely
minds.
forgot that was this weekend that they were launching the residency. You said something. I went and pulled it up on YouTube this morning before the show. It looked
stupid,
unbelievable.
dude. It's stupid.
I felt like I was tripping just by watching it.
You're going to Vegas.
Henderson.
30 minutes. It's a 30-minute drive.
Ben at Fish
would be the greatest thing of all time.
If I was going to copy Eno at all, he also tweeted that he went to Emeril's Delmonico's Steakhouse for dinner, which I've said before, Shelley, one of our favorite restaurants of all time that we went to at least 3 or 4 times when we went to Vegas early in our romance, and it's always fantastic.
Yeah,
so fun.
The place looks incredible. So if you get to the chance to go to that, have fun and really
please
drink it in. We had a great day yesterday. We had a great day yesterday. We had the roundtable, and you've heard it a couple of times on the station since. If you missed it, you can go back and watch it. That's the thing is I know I like tongue in cheek kind of complain about it, but I actually have a good time doing the roundtable. I'm just tired. But I really like getting to hang with Tony Gwynn Jr. and Craig and Annie and Elo. We had a good time. We had a good conversation yesterday. Jocelyn said somebody was commenting on me talking about my family during the roundtable yesterday. I didn't see that because I don't have access to the chat. Jocelyn says she took care of it. So thank you for that. I think I mentioned my son one time. I said Bo Woods likes Bo Bichette. I think that's all I said.
How dare you?
I'm so tired of people that I can't even impart to you, Paulie, how tired I am of that garbage. So I'll say it. Just
I needed to hear for the 69th time your thoughts on
yeah,
Xander Bogaerts
where
and the
he
load
should
off
hit.
spot.
Yeah,
Leadoff
where
spot.
the load off spot.
load off
I like
spot.
that. Hit load off today. It's just like like I said before. I'm going to talk about my family. And if that's the worst thing you can say about me, put it on my tombstone at the end of the day. I love them. They're great and they're hysterical. So
Talk about them all you want.
I don't understand that bit.
Stop worrying about it. Just talk about them whenever you feel
I
like
can't
talking about them.
just stab somebody though
You
that
can't
says
just
it.
stab
But I'd like
anyone,
to.
But you can talk about it whenever you want. I thought the
Lord.
highlight of the roundtable was Tony Gwynn Jr.'s absolute hardline stance against superstition. Don't know that I've ever seen a baseball player take a harder line stance.
It's so
We were
nuts.
talking about can you mention the no-hitter? And Tony Gwynn Jr. absolutely went into, he was almost angry at people who would even give it any credence at all.
Yeah.
And he said, it was tough. I was in the booth with Bob. He was kind of dancing around it, and I wanted to be respectful, but I don't believe in any of that. You should be always saying it. He said, what stunned me, even the very common superstition, like you get a hit, that bat, you're going to keep using that bat. If it's got some hits in it, you're going to keep doing it. He goes, never cared. I used a different bat every at bat, even if I just hit a double with it the time before.
That is which, by the way, I let him know, that in and of itself is a superstition. You switching your bat after you barrel a double in the gap is a superstition. Straight up. That's a superstition. You may not look at it that way, but it absolutely is it's a process that you go through you're so anti-superstition that you develop a superstition.
What would be non-superstitious is you got like 7 or 8 bats in there, and you truly just grab one without ever thinking about which one it is.
Correct.
Every time.
That's no superstition.
That's non-superstitious.
Yeah, and I thought it was funny. We asked him about jumping over the white line, and he said, no, I dragged my toe across it. And we said, no, you didn't. He goes, no, I jumped over it. Why? Because everybody else did. And that was my whole point yesterday on superstitions. You don't want to be the guy. If you want to be the guy that people think jinxed it, then that's on you.
That's not necessarily superstition. That's just keeping a low profile.
Keeping a low pro. I love it. We really had a great time. It's exhausting. It's exhausting, but it's really a fun thing that we do. So hope you guys enjoyed that. We'll have another one for you next Thursday. Now that one's going to be a little different. Benny's going to be out. Tony's not going to be there. So Annie's hosting. So me, Annie,
Poor Annie.
me, Annie,
Craig,
Elston, and Ella.
Hello, yeah.
Whoo, boy.
Who's going to have a more difficult job? Annie wrangling all of you clowns next Thursday, or Ernie Johnson having to corral Shaq, Charles Barkley on a weekly basis? I mean, that show gets off the rails, and Ernie has
Ernie. Yeah, I think Ernie.
I modeled myself a little bit after Ernie.
And you do a good job.
He does such a good job. I always respect Ernie.
Hannah's going to come co-host with us on Thursday, I think, hang out.
Sweet.
Can she be part of the roundtable as well?
She just said I can if you want. And I'm like, okay. Again, I have to host that day and then do the roundtable. I'm done. Your boy is just toast. Ben's going to be in Vegas. Hopefully you get a chance to go out. Henderson. He keeps reminding me that it's Henderson because he doesn't.
Where is Henderson?
30 minutes from Las Vegas.
Suburban Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Okay. There we go.
I want you and Scott to go to Fish.
They're not going to fish.
Please go to Fish. Why? Why do
Neither
you
of us
hate?
are fish people at all.
It doesn't matter. Have you seen the Sphere? I'm begging you. Do something fun.
He's already been to the Sphere. He went to you too.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, he did. He's been to the Sphere.
All right, fine.
All right, we'll set the menu when we come back.
We got
it's
a shout out.
Friday.
We got a shout out to his family coming up.
And a very early shout out to his family on a Friday. It's all coming up next. Glad to have you with us. End of the week is here. Ben Woods, Paul in studio, getting you ready for the weekend. Let's see how the traffic looks with Kelly Danick early on this Friday on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Rest in peace. It's the great Dickey Betts, one of the last two remaining members of the Allman Brothers Band. Passed away yesterday at 80 years old, Benjamin. Passed away in Florida, surrounded by friends and family, was in no pain when he went, so they say. Nobody really knows. Oh, it was so peaceful.
Thanks.
You have no idea.
Thanks a lot for that encouraging
Well,
thoughts.
I mean, you don't know what's going on inside somebody. No, he was fine. He was good. Just drifted off, and it was all fine. It's a big assumption. It's a big leap to make, in my opinion. But Dickey Betts, one of the guys that you watch play guitar, and you go, I'm not gonna even practice anymore. What's the point of practice?
Good.
I'm good. Like, why would I?
That was a fun dream for a minute.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna try to do that. I can't do that. Right? And
It's like watching Scotty Scheffler play golf
right.
and go,
You're like, I'm done.
It's pointless.
This is
It's
stupid.
pointless.
This is stupid. Dickey Betts was just incredible and responsible for some of the Allman Brothers' biggest hits, Jessica, Ramblin' Man.
heard both of them yesterday.
Blue Sky, and just a great guitar player. One of the scariest dudes in rock and roll history, from what I understand. He had some drug and alcohol issues and was pretty surly, I guess, to be around for a while. Got booted out of the band, and but yeah, 80 years old when he passed. That's a hell of a run for Dickey Betts.
They gave him credit, at least who I was listening to talking yesterday, for basically paving the way for bands like Leonard Skinner and
100%.
Southern Rock.
Yeah, Southern Rock. So you know how we do it on this show for the family of Dickey Betts.
And I really hope we can see more unity and more peace when already things are so difficult. So, shout out to his family.
You know who would have hated David Guetta? Dickey Betts would have absolutely hated David Guetta and all that would implied him on the rooftop of that bar. That I promise you. That I can say. I don't know if he died peacefully. I can say he probably would have hated David Guetta. And I rest pretty easy thinking that, man. He was Ben, it was him and Duane Allman were the kind of, they would go back and forth, and then Duane Allman passed away, and so he's like, oh, cool. Now I'm the guy, and he had to learn all of Duane's parts and all of his parts that he already did. Incredible band. I don't listen to enough Allman Brothers.
Like if you passed away, I'd have to learn how to talk about your kids.
Yeah,
all the
you
time,
talk about Bo and Taylor.
Hannah,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Just constantly and do your part of the show as well.
It's really all I contribute is just kid talk to the show. Some guy DM'd me the other night, and he was on Instagram. We had played a little clip, Throwback Thursday clip, last week, and it was at 9:48 or something. We're done. I mean, we're cash. We're out of material. Went to the Throwback Thursday well, and it was the one where the bird flew in the window, and we were laughing about it. It was a funny moment. And this guy lost his mind, and he's like, "Get back to sports, man. A bird in a window, really?" I just wrote back, "No." Right at the time, and then he proceeds to go on about how I'm an idiot and I'm a buffoon, and he said this quote: "Ben has a brilliant sports mind," and I went, all right. So I asked Ben yesterday, do you think you have a brilliant sports mind? What was your answer?
Yes.
Yes, he says. So good.
I make insightful points.
Yes, you do.
Spot on my analysis.
Always.
Brilliant sports mind.
God, I hate people sometimes.
But the good news is that I'm just comparing myself to the rest of this industry, and the bar is very low.
That's true. It's true.
That's good.
Very, very. Jocelyn thinks it might have been you on your burner account on Instagram.
That's a good.
That would be a
I've been
real
all of them
scandal.
all along. They all thought it was Woods. It's actually me, and I enjoy tormenting Woods most of all.
It wouldn't surprise me in this business. I've seen it all. It wouldn't surprise me to find that Ben has been torturing me. Stop talking about your kids, man. So good. I like my brilliant mind, says Ben. The menu is, it's a little light today.
All right, Friday menu. Obviously, we've got we had no game yesterday to talk about. We do have one coming up tonight as the Padres return home for a 3-game series against the Toronto Blue Jays, and see a lot of people pointing it out. So we will wish a happy birthday, Jackson Merrill, turning 21 today.
Hi, this is Jackson Merrill.
Hey, Jackson.
His quote about his birthday. They did a story on him in the UT. It's just a day.
I like that kid, man.
Just a day. He just wants to go play baseball and have a good night. He does not care about the birthday, does not care about 21, going and, having some legal beers or anything.
That's fine.
It's just a day, he says.
I hope and pray that the teammates around him are not going to let him think it's just a day.
Force him
And
to
they're
have
gonna
some
go out-
fun.
They're going to go out and get that dub tonight, and then they are going to rage.
I
That's
like
what
that.
you do.
I like that kid so much, man. I really do. He is a really, really good kid, and his head is on straight. And that's something that you have to, say, and you have to have that mentality. I mean, that's what he loves to do. How cool is that? What he did last night? Did you see what he did?
What Jackson Merrill did last night? No.
Went out to the Storm game.
Yeah, I saw that.
He did?
Yes,
I saw
he was-
Jerson Profar went down to a Tijuana Toros game.
So rad.
Everyone's
man.
going to games on their off day. And then Sammy Levit was there.
Yeah, Sammy Levit was there
He
too.
actually called the action.
We got some. We'll get some audio of
Yeah.
Sammy last night. Called the middle
and it
innings.
was a walk-off win for Dylan Head at
Yeah.
the end of the night
Love Head,
on
man.
a blooper down the line. So we will talk about the Padres. No one's ever accused us, I don't think, of being too negative about the team.
No.
We've been accused of being too positive.
Yes,
to
for sure.
cheerleaders, rah-rah, morning show on the flagship
Bought off,
station.
yeah, all
Is
that.
it possible, though, we are not optimistic enough about the San Diego Padres? A new piece in Fangraphs is making the argument that we may need to be a little bit more optimistic about your San Diego Padres. We'll talk about that coming up.
That was an interesting article. That really was.
I thought it was, too.
It was an interesting article and definitely something we can bite down on today.
At 7 o'clock, we'll play Take on Woods, try to qualify a Tier 1 for a trip to Las Vegas, or if you want to visit Henderson, it's very close.
It is.
While you're in Vegas. Don't do this as well. In the second half of the show, we got our guests coming in. It's a Cespedes Family Barbecue Friday, brought to you by Grand Ole Barbecue. Jake Mintz will be with us at 8 o'clock, and then at 8:30, we'll do an early Ryle report so we can set the stage for our weekly conversation with the skipper, Mike Shildt. Our managers report at 9 a.m. this morning as they return home with an 11-10 record in second place in the National League West to open the 3-game series against the Blue Jays tonight at Petco Park.
Now, that's one thing I don't know that we should I don't know that we should do the standings for a while, right? Doesn't really matter right now. Do you agree?
It doesn't matter, but
Not really.
but there's no reason you can't keep track of it.
That's true. That's the sportscaster in you.
Maybe.
Yeah. Your second place San Diego Padres.
The
Right.
fact that I
3
noticed
weeks.
since last night the
Would you call
Giants
them the fourth place Padres if they'd stumbled a little bit?
Yeah,
and won
I don't
fourth
thi-
place on April
I
19th.
don't think so. I think if it's positive, maybe
Right.
you say it.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Positive-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
well, like the Giants beat the Diamondbacks 5-0 last night. They're both 9-11 now.
Got it.
So the Padres are solidly in
Solidly
second
in
place
second
now, and only a
place.
game out of first place
Now-
behind the LA Dodgers.
I watched the scoreboard like a madman. I do, and I checked that score last night. But I really don't watch the standings yet. I'm not a big standings watcher yet. But
There really is no point.
that's why you're a brilliant.
You don't even know who to
sports
cheer for or against at this point.
I know. You're
think
hoping they go
you
20
think you do.
innings.
I want the Dodgers to do poorly, but the Dodgers could lose, and in the end, that could bite you in the butt because those wins that the teams got when they beat the Dodgers could actually
Yeah,
be the
dude.
teams you're competing against
if
for
they're
the playoffs.
If the
So-
Dodgers are taking on like the Brewers and the Cubs and teams that you feel like maybe in that wild card hunt down the road,
you just don't know.
you don't know yet. So you got to let it materialize a little bit more. But yeah, we'll have some fun today. It's a Friday. It's loose.
It's loose.
Today.
All right, we'll get into the Padres, the optimism surrounding this baseball team early in the season when we come back with Ben and Woods. Don't go anywhere on a Friday on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Perhaps it's just the mentality of being a San Diego sports fan for so long. But you always feel like you're trying to defend your team against the national perception of how bad your team must really be. And I do understand why the national perception of the Padres going into this season was pretty low.
Yeah.
After a disappointing year, they slashed payroll. They lost a ton of good pitching, including the Cy Young Award winner, arguably the best closer in the game, and maybe the best hitter in the game as well. Those are my bullet points, and I'm somewhere in, Nashville or Connecticut, and I am a baseball fan, and that's all I know about the Padres. Oh, they weren't that good last year, and they lost 3 critical players. That's going to be one of the worst teams in baseball, right? They're going to be awful.
Well, I mean, and you're not even mentioning Lugo, Waka, and Martinez. You had to rebuild your entire rotation. So if you have those notes in front of you, you go, oh, yeah, this team's winning 60 games.
They're starting who in center field?
Right, yeah, exactly. Oh, rookie?
I fully understand the national perception this time about the San Diego Padres.
As do I.
Now, I was hoping that they might surprise some people. But what surprised me is that already here, 20 games in, you're starting to see some of the national perception change. And I want to get into this piece that came out in Fangraph yesterday about what truly the 2024 San Diego Padres are and may end up being this year. And we'll get to that right after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Well, the only problem I'm seeing at this time is a little bit of volume on the Coronado Bridge heading over to the island. But yeah, no incidents, no accidents getting in your way so far. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
This hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by The Farmer's Dog. Fresh, human-grade dog food from a healthier way to more energy. When you switch your dog's food to The Farmer's Dog, the effects can feel magical. What sorcery is this? None at all. It's just real food made for the health of dogs. Get 50% off your first box at thefarmersdog.com/radio. So Leo Morgenstern, one of the writers at Fangraphs, and if you don't know Fangraphs, there are a number of analytical baseball sites that are out there. I think Fangraphs may be one of the best, if not the best, for following the sport. They constantly are putting out interesting, well thought out, well researched and argued pieces about Major League Baseball teams. And the headline on this one is, hey, these Padres are still pretty good. And what actually even surprised me, because they went through the whole, oh, yeah, they lost a lot in the offseason. There's no doubt about that. And it was going to be tough to replace what they lost. However, then they went through the additions, the Juan Soto trade, the pitchers they picked up, and some of the other moves that AJ made. And what really surprised me in the end is the analysis that the Padres, when, at full strength, and that includes, by the way, Donovan Solano coming up at some point here after he finishes his extended spring training and maybe joining the team as a designated hitter. Fangraphs now projecting that every player in the Padres lineup will be above average offensively this season based on WRC plus, weighted runs created, plus that they will have a lineup of 9 above average hitters on the team, essentially.
Except Jackson Merrill.
But they also make the point that they're working on a pretty small sample size, and everything has been really encouraging about Jackson Merrill. And they have him just a tick under, but they say absolutely, based on the start, he could be an above-average player. Now, they make the argument, of course, that Jurickson Profar is probably not going to keep up his torrid pace from early in the season. However, he's off to such a hot start that even if he comes back to earth, he could still end up being an above-average offensive player this year. They also say Xander Bogaerts has been well below average offensively this year, but they still project him to bounce back and have a decent season and finish above average offensively. And if all their projections do come to bear, that the Padres will actually be really one of the better offenses in the league. And it will come down to pitching in terms of, whether or not this team can make the playoffs at the end of the season.
And the note, too, about Xander that was interesting, he said the newly minted second baseman hitting an abysmal 200 right now, 60 WRC plus. Again, average on WRC plus is 100. So if you're at 60, that's not good. You want to be above 100. 100 is average. So he said if Profar inevitably regresses by about 50 points, which is what they're projecting right now, you can expect Bogarts to increase by the same amount. Therefore, in a perfect world of projections, Ben, a wash, essentially. Like, one comes down to earth, one gets back going. And I think all of us would sign up for that. My hope is that Jurickson Profar just never lets his foot off the gas. And again, no one's going to continue on the pace that he's on right now. But holy smokes, man. Like why not shoot for a very consistent, above average season, which I don't know that I thought he was capable of until I actually watched him play this year. And now I think, yeah, okay, I can see that happening. And Xander needs to get it going. And if he can get his back up to where it needs to be, for sure, man, it's a more complete, balanced lineup all the way through.
Now, Fangraphs says here, and I'll read this directly, our playoff odds currently give the Padres a 46.2% chance to make the postseason. And they have the third highest odds, 35.3%, to secure a National League wildcard berth, trailing only the Phillies and Diamondbacks. The race remains wide open with the Mets, Giants, and whoever doesn't win the NL Central also in the running. San Diego is only one game above 500, but at this point in the season, that's an 85-win pace. There's a lot of season left to play, but as things stand, the Padres are in pretty good shape. And that's from Fangraphs, 46.2%. That's basically a coin flip. Yep. Toss it in the air, heads or tails, about whether the Padres make the playoffs. And if it does come up, heads for your San Diego Padres this season, and things continue to go fairly well, I think everybody in the Padres fan base will be pretty happy to see a playoff appearance this year from the San Diego Padres.
Yeah, and like everything, obviously it's health dependent, and the injury bug is rearing its head a little bit right now with Yu Darvish being on the IL, and of course Jake Cronenworth. We're talking to Mike Shildt in about 2 hours and 14 minutes, and I want to ask him, about the health of those guys, when you can expect them back, Jake back in the lineup, certainly, because he's not on the IL. He's hopefully ready to go tonight for this series, and just a big part of this lineup. And want to ask him too about Xander and getting him going, and thinking about changing the lineup and all of that as well. But yeah, it's always nice to see an encouraging article. And there were I'll be honest, there were plenty of people in the media that did say, yes, you lose all those great players, you lose all those innings, but we've seen this before. We've seen this before. I don't want to do the addition by subtraction thing, but you've added some decent pieces. If we stay healthy, Ben, we have as good of a shot at making the playoffs as anybody, because I do feel like we do have the guns to get us there. And I think it starts with, and they start with this in the article, the guy that we really needed to be himself was Fernando Tatis Jr. After a pretty dismal second half last year, his WRC plus right now is 148. And that's where you need him to be. He is a star, and he needs to do star things.
Now, just because Fangraphs says something or projects something doesn't automatically make it true. And they know that as well. But one thing that they don't know, and that none of us know, is the thinking inside the organization. Now, they believe that Donovan Solano is going to be a pretty decent hitter when they bring him up. Not great fielding, although he can play multiple positions. They said the only position where he's really above average is probably first base. But as a designated hitter, they believe that Donovan Solano is more than an adequate solution for the San Diego Padres going forward. Woods, do you believe that is the plan for the Padres? They signed him. They haven't really said much about him other than sending him to Arizona to, get locked in at this point. But do you think that in a week, a day, 2 weeks, whatever it takes, that we're going to start seeing, when Manny Machado's back playing third, that Donovan Solano is going to be a somewhat everyday player for the San Diego Padres? Was that why they signed him, for that purpose?
I would imagine he barrels the baseball, and that's what you're really looking for. And they've really, we're too stuck in our ways of traditional thinking, but I mean, we've seen Mike Shildt play matchups plenty this year. We've absolutely seen him play matchups, and they're throwing kind of that out of the window. We have plenty of right-handed hitters, and that's why we all kind of were lampooning and calling for Brandon Belt, a lefty hitter that can hit the ball in the gaps. And they just said they like whatever they like about Solano. Probably the price is probably a little bit better than Brandon Belt right now too. But he also barrels the baseball. I don't know what his splits are or whatever, righty lefty, but You've got Eggy Rosario who can hit lefties if Solano can't, and is better for right-handed pitching. I don't know, but I do like that pickup. It was a sneaky good one.
It's just funny. We spent so much time talking about a member of the late 2010s Giants as possibly being the Padres' answer at designated hitter, and yet it was never the right one. We kept talking about Brandon Belt, and apparently A.J. Preller always seemed to have his eye on Donovan Solano as the guy who could be the answer for him from that same team that we remember, playing against in the National League West for multiple seasons.
And I don't know again what the plan is. We can ask the skipper. Will we see Donovan Solano in the lineup tonight? Could happen. Right?
I mean, theoretically, they could activate him, and he could be there tonight. They have not made any moves as of yet, and as far as I know, he remains in Arizona, still getting work in. But if he had been, staying sharp during the offseason, there's no reason a veteran going to need more than a week or two to really get totally ready for the season.
It was a week ago today.
Yeah. Was it a week ago today?
I believe.
So he's had some time. I'm sure they're evaluating on a daily basis to see where he's at if they're anticipating bringing him up. So, yeah, we can definitely ask Mike Shildt about the Donovan Solano plan. He may defer a little bit. Yeah, well, when they send him to me, we will.
That's when we'll put him in the lineup.
We'll put him in the lineup. Until then, we got guys we like, and we're gonna continue to roll those guys out there. But we can ask and see what they have to say about it. But pretty encouraging piece for someone who's already optimistic about the San Diego Padres. Just naturally,
yesterday was your Super Bowl.
Yeah, seriously.
That was like, oh wow, I may be underselling this team just a tad this season.
What did they say? The Padres have the best record in baseball since August 31st of last year, which is funny.
That was the note that they had since August 31st of last year.
Crazy,
Padres
right?
have the best record in baseball and the second best run differential in all of baseball.
Yeah, very exciting day for you. The second best run differential. They're scoring plenty of runs.
Which I, of course, took to mean had they invited the Padres to the playoffs last year, they would have won the World Series.
Correct.
They lost their invitation in the mail.
That's exactly right.
You did not have the best team in baseball, even part of your postseason. What are you thinking?
Yeah.
MLB.
What
an oversight on your part.
Correct. Yeah, and it's what makes last season so tough to stomach, thinking about all the ones that got away. The Kansas City series, the Cincinnati series, the ones that totally got – the Pirates just murdered you. And that's what makes it so hard to stomach. Like, you guys couldn't win those games, right? And that's what you look at this year, and especially right now with a 3-game set against the Blue Jays and then 4 against the Rockies. I was glad to see that, you were downplaying the Rockies a little bit yesterday. Tony Gwynn Jr. is with me. It's a house of horrors. It's a house of horrors there. That's the series I'm most nervous about so far this year. Next week, Monday,
4 games,
Monday through Thursday.
Down a starting pitcher. No, I mean there's certainly an argument to be worried about that.
Hate
series.
that place. Hate it. Hate watching games there.
Had just a couple of games last night. Giants, as I said, beat the Diamondbacks 5-0. Logan Webb was really good. 7 innings, 2 hits, 5 strikeouts.
Nasty.
Jack Leitner made his major league debut for the Texas Rangers, the second overall pick in 2021. He's the nephew of Al Leiter and the son of Mark Leiter, right? Looks just like him, except throwing from the opposite side of the mound.
I thought he was Al Leiter's son.
Oh, he's Al Leiter's son.
Mark Leiter's nephew?
Leiter is Mark Leiter Jr., I think.
Mark Leiter Jr. is Mark Leiter's son. That makes a lot of sense.
That makes a lot more sense, yeah.
It'd be weird if Al Leiter's son was Mark
Leiter
Jr.
That would be
that wouldn't add up.
Odd naming
I
convention.
could be wrong, though.
Anyway, he kind of struggled. He had one really bad inning. 3 2/3, 8 hits, 7 earned runs, but the Rangers did win the game 9-7. Like the Texas Rangers, who, of course, won the World Series last year, the Padres at some point are hoping to bring up a couple of these top pitching prospects. I don't think they want to rush them. Robbie Snelling is a name we certainly had our eye on in spring training. The guy who was off to the best start, though, and pitched again last night, is Adam Mazur. And he has really thrown well. I think he's given up like 1 run in 16 innings or something like that so far in the minor leagues. And while he may not have the best stuff, so our friend Kevin Charity from Mad Friars tweeting about him and said, I think the person I'm most wrong about is Adam Mazur. He has got the best command and best intellect for pitching in the Padres minor leagues. And I think he said, I think he looks very close to ready. If the Padres need a pitcher soon, that he might be the one that gets the first opportunity from the young wave of pitchers coming up for the Padres.
Yeah, excited to see it, and what you hope, though, is you don't need them a ton this year, right? If you need those guys, if you're calling on those guys a lot this year, that means that you're suffering a lot of injuries to your starting pitching rotation. And Jeremiah Estrada, I think, had another good outing last night as well, throwing hard, man, 98 miles an hour and getting Ks, swing and miss, and all that. So there should be some transactions here in the next few days. And again, as I belabor the point, when you go to Colorado, you need all the arms that you can have. You just can't have too much pitching when you go there because it can just get away from you quick.
That's true.
You got to have it.
That's true. I wouldn't be surprised if they sometimes make a mid-series move in Colorado just so they can
make sure
cycle in a couple of extra bullpen arms and just make sure you're never left short in a 4-game series at Coors Field.
And I do. There's something to be said too. If you're going to bring up one of these guys, is that the best place to do it? But then again, the AAA guys may be used to it.
They have done it before. I remember in the past, but I don't.
Was it?
Who was?
Was it Lauer?
It might have been.
And it was like, oh my God! It's like
I don't
watching
know
someone
that I'd
die.
bring up a Snelling or a Mazer.
No,
but you can cycle in some of your other bullpen options in Colorado just to get through the series. So first, though, of course, it's the Toronto Blue Jays. 3 games. Tonight's matchup is Yariel Rodriguez, who's been good on the mound for the Blue Jays this season. Matt Waldron has been very good his last couple of outings for the Padres as well. After that first shaky inning, essentially, he's been good. He's been good as that 5th starter for the Padres. He'll get an opportunity tonight.
Was
at
Yariel
6:40.
the one that pitched for Cuba?
I think so.
Yeah, I liked him, man. Ooh, boy.
5:40 Eco Water
Fun
SoCal pregame show with Sammy Levit tonight. So we'll come back. Take on Woods is ahead. It was a quiet night in sports, except for Stephen Woods, who actually had a better,
This is amazing.
who's more into the sports watching than anyone else in the country. We'll explain why coming up next here on The Fan. Well, most of us, really around the country last night, were kind of in sports limbo, as it was, there was very few baseball games. There was no basketball games. I don't even think there was a UFL game on last night. There's like gymnastics was the only thing I could find. College gymnastics. We were all kind of in the sports torture chamber. However, my co-host here was into it. Really into it. Tell everybody, Woodsy, what sporting event you were watching last night?
I had it was a long day. You know, I woke up early as balls, 1:55. We did the normal rigmarole of the show, did the roundtable, came home, went to get the kids and all that, and then went to pick my car up. At about 5 o'clock, I finished dinner, and I looked at Hannah and I go, I need a moment. And I was depleted. The tank was empty. I was just cashed. So I went back to my room, shut the door, which I never do, and I just laid down and I put on the TV and I
don't need to hear this.
What?
No.
Oh, no, it didn't go there. I was too tired. I couldn't if I wanted to. I was exhausted. So I put on the TV and I'm flipping through and I go, oh, all right. NHL playoffs are on. Hell yeah. The Kraken against the Minnesota Wild. 1-1 game. I'm like, all right, bro. I playoff hockey's killer. I'm gonna watch. I'm watching, and I'm looking, and I'm like, I don't see any graphics. They're not doing a great job promoting how exciting these NHL playoffs are. Probably because
dropping the ball.
Yeah, probably because it wasn't the playoffs. Okay, probably because it was the regular season finale.
Not only was it not the playoffs, you were watching two teams that had already been eliminated from playoff contention, playing out the string at the end of the year.
I didn't know that just now.
Just there so they don't get fined.
It's just they had sold tickets. They have to show up and play the game. Probably some of their young prospects called up just to give them a little ice time at the end of the season.
And I'm watching it. I'm into it. And I'm like, yes, boy, these teams are going to battle it out for what? 5 games, 7 games, whatever it is in the opening round of the NHL playoffs. I don't even know.
I have a small confession to make as well. First, we need a contestant for Take on Woods. It's a couple minutes away, but if you want to join us, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973, our musical trivia game. Qualify for Las Vegas coming up. I was all set to watch the Western Conference play-in tournament final game. Yeah. The Sacramento Kings and the New Orleans Pelicans last night. And I kept turning on. I thought it was on TNT, and I go to 34, and it's like
I did the exact same thing.
It's like one of those reruns, and I go, maybe if it's on TBS, why would they put it on TBS? No, it must be on ESPN. And I went to ESPN, and it was like college gymnastics, and I'm going, what am I missing here? Why is the game not on? Why can I not? Is it on NBA TV? It's like that doesn't even come in my work TV channel. Why can I not find this playoff game? It's Tuesday, Wednesday, then Thursday's back to the Western Conference, and Friday is the Eastern Conference game. And I could not figure out where the NBA play-in tournament was. I was kind of thinking, Kings, Pelicans, this is going to be a good game. The winner gets the Thunder in the first round. Finally, I just go to the computer and go, I got to look this up. Where am I missing this? Games today, not
Tonight.
yesterday. They're playing both of them today, Western and Eastern Conference 8th seed elimination games tonight. So there was no basketball, and I did not realize that. I just assumed that they were just going every other day. I'm just an idiot.
Yeah.
When you assume.
Settling in for some playoff hockey on a Thursday night, abandoning my family at crunch time, I call it 5 o'clock. I'm just abandoning them fully. Like, Hannah, you got it. I need a blow for a minute. And so I watched some of the game, and I texted Ben, and I go, am I watching the playoffs? He goes,
are these the NHL playoffs I'm watching, or is this still the regular season?
Because there was no fanfare. None whatsoever. You'd think that they'd be like, oh, man, playoff hockey's here. You think there'd be a graphic. You think they'd be promoting the
series, like series tied 0-0 at this point, something like that.
Well, it was on ESPN, so I'm assuming it's a big game. No. I know they do a lot of NHL. They have the thing, I think. So No, just settling in on abandoning my family again for a meaningless game with two teams that aren't going to the playoffs. No. I wasn't even getting like a good well, at least I can see what the Kraken are doing, see how they're moving the puck. No. Nothing. It's completely a waste of time. Ben goes, no, man, that's the regular season finale.
You're close, though. It's Saturday. Tomorrow, the NHL playoffs get underway. The NBA playoffs get underway tomorrow as well.
I felt like a big dummy. And which is fine.
How long did you keep watching?
I watched like a whole period. Dude. I did. I watched a whole period. Well, I watched a whole period until I asked.
And then when you asked and realized you were watching regular season finales, not playoffs.
That's when I got up, got the kids out of the bath, and started doing some fatherly duties, put them to bed, and then I came back in and Hannah was watching Shark Tank. And I said, okay, I'm just going to read. So I read. Any
good products they were pitching on Shark Tank?
I read a book instead to try to, get tired. And it was great. I slept much, much better. But, I needed to get rest. I've got now this is interesting. I have a Seals game tonight. Speaking of, and I think it's meaningless for us. Now, the Vancouver Warriors.
You've clinched a home playoff game no matter what next weekend.
But the interesting thing is Vancouver, who's coming in, right? There's a couple interesting parts to this story, even if you don't even know what we're talking about. The Seals are our NLL, National Lacrosse League, box lacrosse team. I do PA for them, if you didn't know. They're red hot, the Warriors, and I think they're still fighting for a playoff spot. That being said, their head coach, if you guys remember, last year, he was the head coach for the Calgary Roughnecks. And he is the guy that wrote on a whiteboard, cheater, and held it up and stared at me like Charles Manson.
Remember this.
Remember this? And he wrote cheater and was like, had this death, like these big eyes. He's as scary as him. Kurt Malosky. He's now the head coach of the Vancouver Warriors. They're coming in red hot. I think they need this win.
What did he think you were doing?
So remember this. It was one of those games. Now, Pechanga Arena, San Diego, is an older arena. There's, to my right in the penalty box, there's a guy on my left, my boy LL, and he does all the clock management. He does the shot clock. He does the game clock. He handles the horns, everything. I'm in the middle with just a handheld microphone. That's all I have. Then to my right is our production director, right? He's got the replay thing in front of him. There's another ref in there that turns the light on and the shot clock. He does the shot clock reset, actually. So I'm harmless in this. I'm just, hey, let's go Seals. Come on, defense. That's my job. They thought I was manipulating the replay and or the shot clock and or the game clock. And I have no control. Zero.
But because you stand in the middle of all of it, it looks like you're orchestrating. You're
Correct.
The puppet master.
The puppet master.
And they thought there was some sort of Houston Astros level conspiracy going on with the Seals.
Not only did their coach hold up a sign on a whiteboard that said cheater and looked at me again like he wanted to murder me. The Calgary Roughneck players were walking over to the glass, pointing at me going, "You're a horse ass. You're a horse." I almost soiled myself. Lacrosse players, by the way, are tough as nails. As nails. I was terrified of them. And they're pointing in the booth, "You horses." And I'm like, I just do PA. I'm like hyping up the crowd. So he's coming back tonight. He did apologize to the media after the game. He said he let his emotions get the better of him. But he never apologized to me.
Did anyone ever clear it up for him? Like you're not involved in any way?
I have.
Cheater. No, there's in our YouTube stream, there's the picture.
No way, you found it.
Paulie found the picture.
Josh tweeted it in.
There it is.
I was trying to find, I was like,
that's directed at you.
I remember there was a picture of this.
Look at that serial killer.
He does. I mean, I hate to judge a book by its cover, but that guy does look like a criminal.
I'll be honest, he looks like a murderer. And he was holding that up, and again, those players.
It looks like he's played by Al Pacino.
Huh?
Yeah. Cheetah. It was terrifying. So he's coming in back tonight.
Okay.
Like I said, this game doesn't mean much for us, But I'm like, I kind of want to beat the I'm going to get hype tonight.
You hype them up. That's your job.
That's my job.
Hype everybody up. Win one for Woods tonight.
Yeah, he Adam in the chat says he's got an odd smile while making the accusation. Yeah, that's what serial killers do. As they murder you, they're smiling. So he's here. He's in town. Hannah goes, "Do you think he'll apologize before the game?" I go, "I don't think so. I don't think he'll walk
make the first move?
Do I make the first move?
What's up? What's up, Chief?
Hey, bro, just so you do I give him that, hey, man, can we clear the air here? I just want you to know my responsibilities. Please don't send
I
your...
think you talk like down on him.
Oh, do you?
How you doing, little guy?
He would kick my ass. You see him?
Nah, you got this.
Well, so if you needed an excuse to come to the Seals game tonight, sealslax.com. Should be interesting.
James in the chat says he really wants to take on Woods.
Let's do it.
We got Joe in the waiting room here to take on Woods, which is brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. It only takes 15 minutes. You don't have to get out of your car. For directions and discounts, go to SoCalOilChange.com. That's SoCalOilChange.com. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning.
All right, let's see if we can get you qualified for Las Vegas. 2 nights at the Westgate. You can check out their $70 million in room renovations, and going to throw in some tickets to Kool and the Gang for their residency at the stage of the Westgate. Get them now at Ticketmaster.com. All right, here are your categories. We still have royal titles, British royal titles appearing in all answers. Fire and Ice. Those are musical artist bands with either fire or ice in their name. And our new category, no lefts. All right. 5 song titles that include the word or phrase, all right. So of those 3, Joe, royal titles, Fire and Ice or no lefts, all right. What would you like to play?
Let's go with Fire and Ice.
Fire and Ice. Okay, Joe, we've got 5 questions. They are all different musical artists or bands, and they will have either fire or ice in their name. You'll have 60 seconds to get as many of the 5 as possible. Then Woods will go. If you beat or tie him, we'll put you into the drawing for Las Vegas. First question's the 2-second song. Paulie is queuing it up right now. You need to give me both the title of that song and the artist with fire or ice in their name to score that point. Joe, are you ready to play?
Yeah, let's do it.
Paul, you good? All right, 60 seconds on the clock. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. The category Fire and Ice. Good luck, Joe. Let's take on Woods.
Pass.
Born Robert Van Winkle, which rapper was accused of copyright infringement and had to give co-writing credit for his biggest hit to David Bowie and Queen?
Pass.
Which band is best known for an English-language 1982 cover version of Falco's Der Kommissar?
Pass.
Which Canadian indie rock band won a 2011 Album of the Year Grammy for The Suburbs?
Man, I ain't got it today. Pass.
Born in the Bronx in 2000, which female rapper gained early fame on TikTok for her song Munch and has collaborated with artists including Taylor Swift and Nicki Minaj?
Oh, I got the big goose egg today.
Oh, no! Let me just ask you, Joe, do you know any bands with fire or ice in their name? Can you think of one? Maybe you picked the category wrong today.
Firehouse.
Firehouse. No, that's not one of them. Let's just leave it there. We'll bring Woods in and give everyone another chance to go through the answers. All right.
Can I tell you how committed I am to the sanctity of this game? Walk out into there, out in the little hallway, and I hear your beautiful dulcet
so you had to go
tones.
find somewhere that was playing it and turn it down.
And there's a cue speaker out there, but that one was off. And I'm like, where's
Where is
it coming from? So I ran down 2 studios in. Cue speaker was
Someone was
on.
listening. You had to turn it down.
I turned it off.
Good work.
Just so you know.
I don't know if it's going
committed.
to matter too much today. We'll see. All right, 60 seconds back on the clock. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck, Woods.
Hope you're ready.
Let's take on Joe.
I don't know, Steely Dan.
Incorrect. All right. Born Robert Van Winkle, which rapper was accused of copyright infringement and had to give
Vanilla Ice.
Correct. Which band is best known for an English language 1982 cover version of Falco's Der Kommissar?
Don't turn around. Oh. What is the... Pass.
Which Canadian indie rock band won a 2011 Album of the Year Grammy for The Suburbs?
Oh, Arcade Fire.
Correct. Born in the Bronx in 2000, which female rapper gained early fame on TikTok for her song Munch and has collaborated with artists including Taylor Swift and Nicki Minaj.
Did you say Munch?
Munch.
Pass.
Which band is best known for an English language 1982 cover version of Falco's Der Kommissar?
All I can think of is Falco. I don't know the category. I'm out.
All right. Two. Which is a win. It was a tough category. Maybe Joe doesn't feel as bad for his goose egg today.
That was tough. What's the
category was fire and ice. Bands with fire or ice.
So the first
in
one was
their name.
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yeah, September by Earth, Wind, and
Idiot.
Fire.
Well, Steely Dan.
You got Vanilla Ice. After the Fire
After
is
the
Der
Fire.
Kommissar. You got Arcade Fire. And Ice Spice.
Ice Spice. Got
is
it.
your TikTok Munch collaborator with Taylor Swift and Nicki Minaj.
That was tough.
All right, tough one today. Don't Do This is coming up next. Paulie, we have some, pre-NFL draft press conference as pointless of a press conference as you're ever going to get from one of the NFL head coaches because they never tell you anything about what they're going to do in the draft. So why on earth would it make a Don't Do This? You'll have to wait and find out.
One of my favorite
Coming up
things
next.
that we do.
With Ben and Woods after traffic on 97.3 The Fan. Tune in every Thursday at 10 a.m. for our 97.3 The Fan commercial for a Padres roundtable featuring Woods and myself, Annie and Elston, Gwen and Chris, presented by San Diego Roundtable Pizza. For takeout or delivery, go to roundtablepizza.com. Roundtable, the last honest pizza. Had a really, really good roundtable yesterday.
Yeah.
Enjoyed that. Annie's going to step in to my hosting role next week when I'm on vacation. Right now, though, it's time for Don't Do This, and Woodsy has been anticipating this audio all morning.
You know, usually when there's a fart gate situation, somebody will be talking, and then they're talking, and then in the background you hear it.
Wait, what was
and
that?
You're like, did he just? Well, Jaguars GM is Balky. Trent Balky.
Trent Balky, yeah.
Balky. He didn't want there to be any misconceptions about what he actually did at a press conference. And I got to imagine if you're a GM of an NFL team, you probably want to control yourself a little bit more.
Let's all listen in.
Let's listen in. You tell me.
Still got a couple of days going through. Coach and I haven't sat down and gone through the final board yet.
What? Excuse me.
Let's listen one more time and determine whether or not that really was.
Still got a couple of days going through. Coach and I haven't sat down and gone through the final board yet.
He ripped one right in the middle of his. You can't hold it, Trent, for 5 more minutes.
Could it have been? It sounded a little bit like
Guttural?
my throat noise.
Maybe it wasn't a fart. Could have been guttural.
Do you have my throat noise for comparison?
You can find it. Give me 1 second.
Because it seemed like it was somewhat similar.
I didn't see, he didn't, lift
Yeah.
or anything. Wait, hold on.
I mean, that would really be bold in front of a room full of people on television with a microphone in front of you.
Could have been guttural, but he did say.
He did say, "Excuse me." He did. There was a bit of a pause for a sniff as well, which was odd. I don't know if you noticed that.
He maybe did the sniff cover up, this one's coming out to try to cover it up.
But then he apologized,
excuse me.
he
Well,
just
he
admitted
realized
it.
it came out
All
louder.
right, here's Ben.
You thought that was good news yesterday?
Yeah.
I did not.
Now, Trent Balky.
Bulky.
Going through. Coach and I haven't sat down and gone through the final board yet.
I think it's a fart.
I think it's a fart. Boom. That's a fart.
See, that's a different sound, though.
That's a fart.
He farted.
Fartgate. Well, now nobody knows. Nobody in the chat says that Ben noise just kills him every time. Me too. Every time. Yeah, that's a guttural. Trent Balky he tooted. My kids say.
And he says, "Excuse me."
Excuse me.
That's.
Excuse me.
Excuse me.
Yeah, he tooted. All right, go ahead. I'm done.
Now, my story kind of pales
It
in
does.
comparison
Sorry
to
about
that.
that. Sorry.
Very interesting one, though. A criminal charges have been filed against 39-year-old Robert Globensky from Augusta, Georgia, who is alleged to have moved, quote, millions of dollars worth of Masters golf tournament merchandise and historical memorabilia from the club from 2009 to 2022. He's charged with taking it over state lines to Tampa, Florida. What is not clear yet in this story is exactly where he is getting all of his stolen goods.
What kind
If
of
he's
goods
just
are we talking?
Is he just shoplifting every year at the Masters from the merchandise tent? I mean, they also say historical memorabilia. Is he going into the clubhouse, taking things off the walls?
Yeah, here's here's Phil Mickelson's old wedge that we have on
Is he
display.
stealing green jackets here? But I mean, millions of dollars of merchandise over a 14-year period. Guy is
It's an inside job.
He's from Augusta, so maybe some sort of inside job, and he's the black market of. It fell off a truck.
We talking golf
Is
shirts?
this
We
when they
talking
make deliveries to the club for merchandise, and somehow it never makes it in, and he just has been waylaying it or something? They're kind of light on the overall details. It's just that it's been going on for 13 years. It's a total of millions of dollars of memorabilia. He's been driving it from Georgia to Florida when he gets it.
where that's the best place to fence Masters.
Was that well
Well,
known? Yeah.
It's Florida.
If found guilty, it just says here, this is kind of funny, Glebensky would have to return all the stolen goods or money made from them. Really? Found guilty, he just doesn't get to keep it all? You got me. Should I give it back? No, it's fine. You got it.
I fenced it in Florida, as you guys know. All right, let's get to some do this.
DD Mega Doo-Doo.
So the San Diego Rotary Club honored Peter Seidler with the Mr. San Diego Award yesterday. It is the most prestigious award, Ben, according to Allison Edmonds, that can be granted to a San Diegan. Pretty cool. He was notified of this honor before he passed, and his wife, Shildt, was there to accept. And again, strap in. I mean, it just is so sweet.
There's a wonderful picture of Peter right here, so thank you for that. Peter, he was a businessman, and but he never thought of himself that way. Sometimes I'd be filling out forms for, various things for the children's activities, and they'd ask for his occupation, and he'd be peering over my shoulder, and he'd be like, "Put artist." Because that's how he saw himself. And he never needed the spotlight, as some of the speakers have mentioned, but he also wasn't afraid to use his platform for those without a voice or those who could truly benefit, like Dan mentioned. His passing was sudden and tragic. I don't think that's always been conveyed in the press, but it was a shock to me and the children and the family. And the past few months, the shock, acceptance, all the feelings. And with that, all the memories come up. Like Shildt was saying, I also talk to Peter all the time. I don't know what anyone thinks about that, but it works for me. And I asked him, what should I tell everyone, honey? And I think one observation I have of how he did business is that you can always afford to be kind, no matter what conversation you're having or who it's with.
Such a good reminder, as usual. You can always afford to be kind. I'm not guilty of that and at every chance, but I do feel guilty now after hearing that message from Shildt Seidler, and
that was amazing.
It was incredible. It was a great reminder.
Obviously, we've seen Shildt and the kids at some of the events, the memorial and everything, but she didn't speak, and I totally understand why. It's very emotional, but I loved what she had to say about Peter, artist. Just put artist.
Just put artist.
And I loved the statement. It's you can always afford to be kind. I did not know, and she said the one thing that hadn't been portrayed in the media, and I'll say I think we're all as guilty as this as anyone else. I think because we had heard, Peter was ill for some months and had stepped away a little bit from the team and the day-to-day.
Of course, his history.
That we kind of assumed that, well, obviously they must have known things weren't going bad, and he was kind of getting sick over a period of time, and then it wasn't as unexpected. And to find out that, no, it really was quite unexpected.
Makes
that
it
they
tougher.
were fully, I assume, fully expecting him to get better, and then it just didn't happen. That is somehow makes it even more sad a little bit to me. Not that it wasn't incredibly sad to begin with, but I did not realize that, and I apologize for ever insinuating that I did think. Just kind of assumed that because he had backed away and had been ill, that it wasn't as unexpected as it was. So I did not know that.
Yeah, great message. It's just a great message. You can always afford to be kind. I will try my very hardest.
It's okay if you fail sometimes, but as long as you're trying.
Yeah, just try it. So that's all you need to do.
That's an important don't and do this for a Friday.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, let's take a time out. If you want to join us, our phone lines are open, 833-288-0973. We want to talk about the Padres as they come back home this weekend. The Fangraphs piece we were discussing earlier, the maybe a newfound optimism through 3 weeks of the season about the San Diego Padres. Please join us this morning, 833-288-0973. You got more Ben and Woods on the way in just a moment on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Had some pretty significant news yesterday. If you're a longtime San Diego sports watcher, and wanted to give my best wishes to Uncle Teddy, Ted Leitner, who is
Great Uncle Teddy.
the great Uncle Teddy, who is down to one last season. San Diego State announced that he's stepping away from the football broadcast. He will do one more season of San Diego State basketball, and then he will call it a career. Decades-long San Diego sportscasting legend, Ted Leitner. And I brought back we've done some pieces over the years with Ted on television. Of course, we've had him on our show many times.
I pulled my diphthong in college.
Over the years, calling not just Padres, but Chargers, Clippers, Aztecs.
Many talent.
It's 25 years at Channel 8, had his own morning radio show at the same time as well.
Amazing.
An absolute legend in the business. We pulled some clips the last time we interviewed him. I think it was when he had his book came out, remember?
Yeah.
And I love this one. He said every year they would do the poll in the San Diego Magazine and the UT, and I would always win Best Sportscaster. And I would always win Worst Sportscaster as well.
It's incredible.
Every single year, I won both Best and Worst Sportscaster in San Diego.
You loved him, you hated him, but you listened all the time.
I got a broadcast here, and you're worried about a suitcase. Unbelievable.
I love him. I
These
absolutely
people
love
are
him.
unbelievable in this arena. They got security guards think they're guarding the Pentagon. Coming over here interrupting me during a broadcast to worry about a suitcase. Unbelievable.
Absolutely incredible audio, an incredible human. I've gotten the chance, we've all gotten the chance to talk to him so many times. I hate to see, I hate when a guy like Vern Lundquist, right? Like, I hate that he's not doing the Masters anymore. I'm going to not like that Uncle Teddy's not working in sportscasting anymore. I love that dude. And he was, for me, when I moved here, such an acquired taste because I had never heard anything like him, ever. And I'll never.
Here's a concept. Bite me.
I remember the first time, it was 2010, and I was driving back from, I think, the first Padres game I ever went to, and I was listening to the game. I was like, who is this clown? Like, he's a clown. And I listened to the next one, and I listened to the next one. Then I started to, learn about who he was, and I went, oh, I love this dude. This guy's fantastic. And all the stories and the legends, and, my father-in-law worked with Uncle Teddy as well. Great picture of them from back in the day. Uncle Teddy with a full head of dark hair. I mean, just incredible. An incredible career. And
This ball game belongs to my San Diego Padres.
a total class act.
I
man.
was
all the way.
I was talking to Kimberly Hunt about Ted last night. She never worked with him directly, but she's known him for a long time as well. East County Chris says Uncle Teddy's segment on Channel 8 News was must-watch TVs in the must-watch TV in the 80s and 90s. There we go. And what was always amazing about Uncle Teddy, he never used a prompter.
He never flubbed 3 times.
He
in a row.
never would never have done that.
No, he wouldn't either. But he never used a prompter. He'd walk in, and he had good producers, and they'd set up like the video and everything. And
Yeah.
they'd, here's what you got, and he'd go for like 5 minutes. They gave him more time than I've ever had on a sports segment on Channel 10, and he'd just sit down, and he'd just go, just off the cuff. And he would be funny and witty and insightful and angry, and he could just muster it all in a 5-minute sportscast every single night. Controversial.
Could you imagine winging it like that?
I mean, we do for 4 hours essentially every morning, but with the pictures and everything, it's not easy to do.
No, I mean,
it's not easy to
winging
do.
it on television.
Navigating a television broadcast
was way different than this. I mean, this, if we screw up, we screw up. I
Yeah.
mean, who cares?
Clearly.
Obviously. I mean, look what we're talking about here. I have a tremendous amount of respect for Teddy Leitner and the way he handles everything. And just been such a pleasure and honor to get to know him. And I wish him nothing but the best in health and whatever he decides to do. He's a fascinating character. What was his bit with hockey? He hated hockey.
He would only show fights.
Fights.
When he did highlights, he would never show actual highlights, only the fights. And last night I did a little story on Ted, and I went right into a hockey story because everyone knows hockey was always Teddy's favorite sport.
I love it, man. He's
So-
like me. He wasn't afraid to say he didn't like. I don't really watch the NBA.
True.
I'm just
Yeah.
like, if it works for Uncle Teddy.
It drove people crazy too. Who wanted
dude,
real hockey highlights, and he wouldn't give them to them.
There's two stories about him. One, he told me that his kids stopped telling. They'd go, "Are you?" And they'd go, "No, that's not my dad," which is gnarly, right? Because he goes, other like the kids of dads that hated me hated my kids, and that was unfair. And I think about that with my kids. And then the other one was, he told us this on the air. Somebody had gotten traded here from the Dodgers, and the guy, whoever got traded here, like sought out Uncle Teddy and walked up to him and was like, "Hey, bro, they hate you."
The Dodgers.
The former they hate you. All the players hate you. The fans want you dead. And I'm nodding along, going, "This is the way."
So this
is the way.
That's very interesting because obviously you can make a lot of comparisons between me and Uncle Teddy. I've been Channel 10 for 20 years, morning radio show host, similar careers. But in many ways, you're the Uncle Teddy of the group. He was always unafraid to talk about his personal life and kind of failings as well. I mean, famous for ex-wives, and he would joke constantly about just the many Mrs. Leitners.
I'm not famous for ex-wives,
but you're more than willing to talk about your life and the things that are less than perfect sometimes in your life, and Ted would always do that as well.
I'm San Diego's new Ted Leitner.
What was that from?
I don't know.
That's the thing. We never know the context of any of these things.
I actually don't know.
I doubt I was just bragging about it.
That was from 2021.
I'm San Diego's new Ted Leitner.
There's definitely some irony somewhere in my tone, but I don't remember that comment either. All right, let's check. Oh, by the way, Teddy did say, "I will miss everything about it," but he also said that it gets to the point where you still love the work, but the road gets very wearying, tired of the road, and Mountain West travel is awful. Wyoming, Colorado Springs, and Fort Collins, and those trips that he won't have to take during football season anymore. But I'm glad he's going to do one more hoop season. I'm really glad that in these last couple of years he got to go to a Final Four.
Yeah,
something
man.
that probably never imagined he'd get to do, calling San Diego State basketball. So that is really cool that he got that opportunity to do that and call a national championship game a little over a year ago.
Love that, dude. Wish you well, Uncle Teddy.
All right,
Love you.
If you want to join us, 833-288-0973 and get some phone calls after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic sponsored by Viejas Casino and Resort. Just one accident to mention here, guys. This is actually right outside of our studios, northbound 15 before Arrow Drive. If one of you wouldn't mind going to the window and maybe see what lanes are blocked, because I can't see it here. But yeah, watch out for a little slowing there, guys. Northbound 15, right before Arrow Drive. Fortunately, no other problem spots on our roads this time. The daily jackpots at Viejas Casino and Resort are on fire. Players have hit huge wins with bets as low as 50 cents. Check out their jackpot winning smiles on the Viejas Facebook page. Want to join them? Who knows? Our next jackpot winner could be you. Viejas Casino and Resort. Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
It's always a bit of a roulette wheel when we go out to the phone since we don't have a screener. So let's just go to line one. Is this Alex? Good morning. You're on Ben and Woods. Hey, how you doing?
Buddy. Can you hear me? Great.
I can hear you loud and clear.
Good. Hey, I'm really excited to get out to Petco for another little mini homestand coming up this weekend. And I wanted to bring up something that has been bugging me. I called in a couple weeks ago. Something else Petco-wise that was bugging me.
Sure.
This time I'm wondering if you guys want to use the platform that you guys have to affect some positive change in the world here. And this has something to do with our beloved DJ EJ and the vibes that we're feeling at Petco. And I'm wondering, why are we still listening to Spoon Man riff for every strikeout that we hear? Right, Woods? I know you're from the '90s. I'm from the '90s too. I love Soundgarden. I love Bad Motorfinger and Chris Cornell. Shout out to his family and everything.
100%.
But it's just a strange thing that I've been wondering. And my sister actually, maybe a year ago, took to Twitter and tried to talk to Bobby and DJ EJ about what is this? And DJ EJ didn't really have a great explanation about why it was even implemented in the first place. And so now that it's years later and the vibes have become so much different than they were 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It seems like we could pick something a little more vibe friendly than the shredding riff.
What's the riff they play? I can hear it. Is it just the
yeah, it's been playing for years. I want to say it goes back to the Qualcomm Stadium days when a pitcher would get a strikeout. And I don't know the real answer for you, Alex, other than
so good, dude.
I can promise you this. If you took it away, you'd get more complaints than you can imagine because people get used to things
that's maybe
people
true.
get used to things, and you try to take that away, and even though you could replace it with something that's 10 times better, you'd have a large segment of people who are going, "What happened? I loved when you would play Spoon Man after a strikeout." I mean, same thing on a walk. Does Ric Flair always? We have to do the woo after every single walk, but they do every single time a Padres player walks, and I can't. How many seasons do you think it's been that every walk has been accompanied by the Ric Flair woo, and everyone does the woo? If you stop doing it, though, people would lose their minds. There it is. Strikeout.
My only fear is that it would be replaced by something I hated even more, right? Like something I'd be like, oh, no, Like Soundgarden never fails me, but I can see his point. It doesn't make any sense. Logically, Spoon Man after a K doesn't make. No one's ever said, "Oh, that guy just served you a spoon. You're out." If it was a thing, man. That I had never really understood why they did it, but I like Soundgarden a lot. I like the woo. I do like the woo. Woo! I like that. You don't like that? I do.
I didn't say I didn't like it, but it's been going on a long time. And if Alex says you need to freshen things up from time to time.
I replace the bumper music here a few times a year.
You get tired of things.
I get tired of things quickly. I don't go to enough games for it to affect me, really. But I that's an interesting thing to bring up. And I don't know the rules behind it or the impetus for doing it. There's probably something don't you have to get licensing to use that stuff?
I don't know how it works at ballparks. I assume that they have to get something.
That's so funny.
But what if you took away Sweet Caroline from Boston Red Sox fans? At some point it becomes a tradition that's just expected when you go to the game.
We got really bored during the pandemic, and we were trying to get them to change up some of the music, like the Brohim thing was I think they're Dodger fans. Maybe we don't use that. There was, we had some fun with it, but I don't think too much about that. But that is an interesting call, and I really would be curious as to why they did that in the first place.
The origination of the Spoon Man.
You just threw him a spoon. No, I've never heard that before. Maybe I'm missing something. It's not a thing. I've been around a lot of ball players. Oh, man, you guys just served him up.
I mean, it might be just like Trevor's Hell's Bells. Could be as random as anything. Just got played one day, and people responded well to it. So, let's do it again tomorrow. And then tomorrow became 20 years of tomorrows where they just kept doing it, through inertia. Never changes.
Yeah, you get kind of locked in. It's an interesting point, though, that he makes. That was a fun call. I like that.
Let's get one more in here. Greg's called in. Greg, good morning. Welcome to Ben and Woods.
Good morning. Hey, the Spoon Man has nothing to do. It's just an iconic riff.
Yeah, it's just a good riff.
Yeah. I want to talk about Joe Musgrove.
Okay.
Has anybody else noticed how down his fastball velocity?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we have.
Compared to last year and how low his arm slot is?
Yes, sir. We talked to Eno Saris about it yesterday. We talked about it. When was his last start? The way he gutted out that
Joe's last start was on Monday on the road trip.
And I think he's probably concerned about it as well, and it could be lingering from the capsule injury.
Like how you say that.
Capsule. His capsule injury.
It's not a capsule?
Capsule. It could be lingering from that. You can't. It's not sustainable to continue to give up early runs and then hope your offense bails you out. He did give you 6. He got the win and figured something out. His sweeper and his slider. I mean, the tilt on him, the spin on him looks good. It just they weren't landing. So I think he's still just working through some stuff. I'm going to continue to kind of believe in Joe Musgrove because the way he finished last season. and coming in, I guess semi-healthy. We'll figure it out, but he needs to get it going too.
Yeah, you think with Joe, if there is a guy who can figure out how to make it work without his best stuff, the dog that he is, he will come up with something. It may not be instantly, but he will figure out a way to make it work, and hopefully he'll get that mile an hour back. It's not like Joe is really old.
No.
Yet, right? How old is Joe? 31, 32?
Yeah,
I mean, he should still have a couple of more prime. 31, yeah.
Yeah.
Should still, injury, if he's healthy. Shouldn't see that dip quite yet. Now, Darvish is definitely on that age where you watch for it a little bit now. But he's got so much spin and movement and he still gets it up to like 97.
He humps it when he
But
wants
you got to
to.
watch for more injuries as you get later in his career. Things
his
like
neck.
stiff necks and things that us elderly people have to deal with all the time. He was finding out, yes, that does not. It kind of sucks getting older.
I'm going to start taking 15 days every time my neck is stiff. You guys would never see me.
Well, you can just take a Tylenol. Do you take a tablet or you take a
capsule?
A capsule.
Yeah. I take a capsule. Capsule.
All right, we'll come back. It is a Cespedes Family Barbecue Friday. We got Jake from Cespedes Family Barbecue checking in. We'll talk some baseball with him. Hour number 3 of Bennett Woods next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Halfway home on a Friday, Ben and Woods edition. Great to be here with all of you guys. Looking very active and alive in the YouTube chat. You can watch us there, certainly. Thank you for listening on your radio, the Odyssey app, however you consume us. We really, really appreciate that. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl, the executive producer, and Ben Higgins, the brilliant sports mind that he is, and your friendly neighborhood sports anchor.
I've thrown on my Grand Ole Barbecue hat because it is time to talk a little baseball with Jake Mintz from Cespedes Family Barbecue on a Friday morning. His screen name is Irrelevant Profar. Oh, that's spicy.
I love how spicy that got.
Jake is very relevant to us in the San Diego Padres, of course, now.
Yeah, how funny was that, though?
It was amazing.
To me, that is the best burn, is the you are irrelevant.
Yes.
That is the best.
It hurts.
And for it to come from Will Smith, who has the spice level of
milk,
a stick of butter.
Milk, yeah.
I was impressed. I think you actually have to tip your cap to Will Smith.
Oh, we did.
Until, of course, the next day got it shoved right in his face.
Yeah. But I understand Profar is very relevant to you and your listeners, and I'm not trying to throw shade. I apologize. Good morning, everybody.
Morning, buddy. I thought, again, chippy baseball is truly amazing. It's the best kind of baseball. And I'm not talking head hunting, throwing 99 at somebody's back or neck. But chippy baseball, just a little bit of jawing, firing the team up. I thought it was cool. I mean, the next day they asked Profar about it. He's like, yeah, I screwed that up. Sorry, I kind of misinterpreted it. And then gets that big knock. And the baseball gods, as I said, Jake, they rarely smite the Dodgers for what they say. And it was fun to see them get smited for once.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing like a little comeuppance to soothe the soul.
Yes, it does. We love comeuppance. We got ours last year with our very high payroll and all that. And, we kicked it around the last couple of days because the Padres were off last night. And, I see a lot of LA Dodgers fans flipping out right now, and I don't think they have much cause for concern, being that they have, 6 guys coming off the IL that could be pretty good rotations for a lot of teams.
So, yes, but the outfield sucks.
It does.
It's a bad outfield.
It's a bad outfield.
And it's being covered up. Covered up is not fair. It's being papered over by the fact that they have MVP candidates at first base, shortstop, designated hitter. Will Smith is an incredible catcher.
Yeah.
Max Muncy's still good at third base. The infield's amazing. But boy, that outfield, PU. James Outman has looked horrible. Chris Taylor looks like he's in a Space Jam baseball remake. And Kike Hernandez's return home has not been so glorious. And if there's a reason to doubt the Dodgers, it is that the outfield is kind of butt and the bottom of the order is similarly so.
We discussed this on our roundtable yesterday with and Tony Gwynn Jr. said, yeah, they're still going to win the NL West. And we all tended to agree, but there's different levels of winning. I mean, if they win 94 games and win the NL West, that's a pretty disastrously bad season for what was expected for the Dodgers this year.
Is it not disastrously, though?
No,
I don't think it's disaster.
No, wrong.
You win you win the
if
West.
They win in the playoffs, it doesn't matter. The
Right.
Dodgers fan base has seen that team win 178 games in the regular season and then poop their pants in October. And so if they win 90 in the regular season and they win the World Series, no one's going to be complaining entering the playoffs. If everyone is healthy and ready to go for Los Angeles in the playoffs, they're just as formidable as Atlanta is. So am I worried? A little. Am I panicking if I'm a Dodgers fan? No. But I doubt anybody who's listening to this is.
No.
Hey,
We definitely have Dodgers fans listening. No doubt about it.
They do.
Can I bring up a topic? Did you guys see this Colorado Rockies FAA story?
Yeah, we were just talking about that on the air
20 minutes ago.
I just filled them in on the story that I saw. And if you guys haven't seen it yet, the FAA is investigating the Colorado Rockies, who we'll head to Colorado and play them on Monday for a 4-game set.
Don't go in the cockpit when you head there on Monday, okay?
Yeah, seriously. So tell everybody kind of what happened, but they're under investigation right now. And again, people love to post their crimes, I guess, on social media, which is part of the problem.
This is the hardest I've laughed in a long time. Hensley Mullins, who's the hitting coach for the Rockies, posted a video of himself sitting in the cockpit of the plane, like pretending to fly it. And you can't do that.
Can't do that.
You can't do that. And the FAA is investigating United Airlines. And
It's a pretty open and shut case,
Rockies,
actually, here.
No, there's so many funny things about this, right? Like, this doesn't happen. This could happen to any organization, right? It's just like one person breaking a rule and the pilot letting them in. But that it is happening to the Rockies, who are a jambalaya of disorganization, is just the most fitting thing ever. And that it happened at altitude, and it's the Rockies. Like, I can't stop laughing at this story. It's all so good.
Now, Jay, you're a younger guy, but back in the day, like when Woods and I were kids, sometimes they'd let kids come up and come see the cockpit during the plane. The pilot would be nice. Say, hey, would you like to come up and see the controls? And they'd invite you up there.
It was during a flight.
Yeah,
it was.
yeah,
It was
absolutely.
during a flight.
Before 9/11, things were very different in this world.
I never flew a plane when I was a kid. I got the airline wings and all that, but I never got to sit and fly it.
When I was a kid, I used to be able to do tax evasion on a plane. Nowadays, you can't do anything. World's changed. Don't do this. If who on the Padres is the most likely to accidentally get in trouble for this? Is a fun conversation.
Oh, that's
like,
a good question.
Who's like, let me into the cockpit? I think Musgrove. Like,
maybe
I just mean that he's the one who would be able to like swoon or convince the pilot to like let him in to try it out.
It actually wouldn't surprise me if Joe knew how to like had
Joe knew
pilot's
how to
license.
fly.
And...
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's true.
That's funny. I wanted to ask you, we're talking to our pal Jake from Cespedes Family Barbecue on a grand old Friday. I wanted to ask you about Paul Skeens, because every time this dude pitches, I am enamored with, marvel at his raw stuff. He's down in AAA and just continues to be striking guys out at a pretty torrid pace right now. Looks pretty unhittable. Looks like he's filled with all the confidence in the world. Now, the Texas Rangers, more careful with Jack Leitner, came up, didn't have the best debut yesterday. Still has really good stuff, but when do you expect a Paul Skeens to make his debut for the Pirates, who are a fun team?
So let's do this first. Comparing Jack Leitner and Paul Skeens is, at one point in time, would have been responsible. Now,
irresponsible now.
They are two different species of pitchers, because Jack Leitner, drafted second overall, famous last name, has backed up since he was drafted. The fastball commands all over the place. The secondary stuff hasn't progressed. And at this point, he's looks like a back end guy, unfortunately for the Rangers. And he debuted yesterday, and you could see the issues with his pitch mix right away. Paul Skeens is a moose. I mean, this guy, on a physicality perspective, is unlike any pitcher I've really seen. It's just like there's a thickness to him that is remarkably jarring. He looks like a tight end, and not in a way where he's not like ripped. He's just like, he's a moose, man. He's a moose.
Yeah,
when do I expect him to get called up? I would say in a month or so. He's amazing. The fastball velocity is a joke. He really knows how to pitch. I will say this, though. If you're clamoring for Skeens, totally get it. Go watch Jared Jones.
Oh, 100%.
Who the Pirates already have, who they've already called up. Did he face the Padres? Am I mistaken?
No, we haven't seen him yet.
No, you haven't seen him yet. Okay. I saw him in person this week against the Mets. I can't, it's unbelievable. Like, if Skeens comes up and is Jared Jones, that's a win. Wow. Jared Jones is throwing 100 miles an hour. He's 22 years old. He's getting swings and misses in the strike zone. I think he had 16 swings and misses against the Mets, a team that makes a ton of contact. He threw 59 pitches to get through 5 innings, and they pulled him, and then they blew the game. Jared Jones, I think, is already one of the best 15 pitchers in baseball. And if Paul Skeens comes up and does 3/4 of what Jones has accomplished, everyone will be thrilled.
In that game,
cool. Jones already here.
In that game that you saw, this is staggering. 22-year-old, 85% of his pitches were strikes. 85% strikes against, like you said, a team that makes a lot of good contact. Future very bright in Pittsburgh, and really, really good young position players as well coming up through that system. It's fun. Reminds me a little bit, Jake, of your Orioles. And it's just got to be fun to watch these guys on a daily basis. I know Jackson Holiday has struggled a little bit. It's to be expected. A little bit surprising that our Jackson has gotten off to such a hot start. But what are you seeing out of your Orioles right now early in the season?
Dude, bang. They just bang. Everyone bangs. Everyone on the team rakes, except for Jackson Holiday for right now. And it's not just that the guys who were top prospects have come up and been good, right? Like Gunnar Henderson and Adley Rutschman. It's like Ryan O'Hearn, who they snatched off the scrap heap from the Royals after he was butt there for a couple of years, has been, I think he has the third best hard hit rate in baseball. I think it's like Ohtani, Bobby Witt Jr., Ryan O'Hearn. And sure, great. Cedric Mullins has gotten hot. Anthony Santander is starting to hit. But what's been very interesting watching the lineup with Holiday in it, so he hits ninth and Henderson hits first. So what's been happening is like Holiday strikes out on a fastball in the strike zone because he's learning how to play baseball still. And then the lineup turns around to Henderson and he gets the exact same pitch and hits it like 1,000 miles an hour somewhere in the field. And you're like, oh, I can't complain about Jackson Holiday. Like we have a different one who's already amazing, right? And so things are, it is the part in the movie. This is what being an Orioles fan is like right now. The part of the movie where everything is so good, it's about to go wrong, right? Like that is the energy. Everyone is happy and whimsical and smiling, and it just feels like there's another shoe to drop. But that's just fandom trauma.
That's just baseball fandom. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Jake Mintz from Cespedes Family Barbecue is with us. And on your Yahoo Sports platform this week, Jake, you wrote about Marlins manager Skip Schumacher. Now, we are not objective when it comes to Skip. In fact, there's a better than average chance he's listening right now in his office in Miami somewhere with his coaching staff. But I want to get your perspective, a little more neutral, objective, outside viewpoint of what's going on with the Miami Marlins, coming off an incredibly exciting, surprising, great season, manager of the year. There should have been a lot of momentum and excitement, and somehow they've all just killed that in Miami as fast as possible, like they were trying to. Like
they tried to.
They're like, it feels like they're the major league franchise in Cleveland that was trying to move to Miami, except they're already in Miami.
Okay,
what's going on?
It's a very
they're trying to move to Cleveland, actually.
It's a complicated situation. Okay, I know that you all love Skip.
We love
and
Skip.
Skip is a singular presence in the sport. Like in talking around with people and reporting this article out, I did not hear a single negative thing about Skip, like at all, from anybody on or off the record. I was floored by the reputation this guy has earned for himself. Okay, so that's important to understand. Skip almost certainly is not going to be managing the Miami Marlins next season. That is a given. He asked the front office or the ownership group to void his option for next year so that he can, in my understanding, explore the market, right? Now, how did we get to this point? I actually think that most of the people in this scenario are operating rationally. The ownership group, Bruce Sherman, led by Bruce Sherman, who has been pretty frugal, looked at the organization that Kim Ng was leading and saw success at the major league level and very little else. The infrastructure that the Marlins had in place under Kim Ng was not great. Okay. That should not take away from what she accomplished at the big league level to build the team that made the playoffs last year. Like, that's awesome too. So what Sherman tried to do was go in and hire someone above Kim to like build the infrastructure up. And that's where the big mistake was, because Kim totally reasonably said, I'm not going to stick around and have you hire someone over me. I just took you to the playoffs with like $25. Okay. So she leaves. That pisses Skip off, understandably, because they had a good relationship. New guy comes in, Peter Bendix, who I like and I think is going to do a good job there. And he looks at the situation and goes, this is not a good baseball team. I don't think we can win. And so they don't spend. And then once they have injuries to Yuri Perez, who's like a big piece for them, and Sandy Alcantara is missing all year, like, this is not a good team that can compete. And so they don't sign anybody. And now we're at a point where they're like, 1-75 to start the year, and Skip has become a lame duck manager. And it's all very bizarre. It's all very uncomfortable. I just have so much faith that Skip is going to maintain his Skipness throughout it all and show up at the yard every day and have good process and help the players around him get better, even if he knows he will not be managing the next good Marlins team. But what's really interesting, one more thing, is what Skip does from here. Right, because he is pretty much accepted as one of the best 5 to 10 managers in the game already, which is amazing considering it's just a second year. And so he's going to hit the managerial free agent market this year and probably get pretty good pay to lead a team. And it's going to be interesting to see what jobs open up and which jobs Skip is going to want to take. And, we'd have no idea what he wants and what sense there is there. But it's just a really interesting storyline to keep an eye on.
I think Jake kind of nailed that
Yeah,
pretty
I
well.
do too.
Yeah,
I do too. Very
I think
good.
he nailed that on the good stuff on Skip Schumacher and the Miami Marlins.
Thank you, buddy.
Go read that. I actually, I did a lot of reporting for that.
Good.
I can
Good
tell jokes, guys, but I also know how to
Did do a little
my job.
reporting.
Yeah, no, you're reporting from what our sources tell us. It's fairly accurate.
We've got a good one. We got a good one. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate you.
Take care, Jake.
Have a good weekend.
Our weekly segment with the Cespedes Family Barbecue guys, Jake and Jordan, brought to you by Grand Ole Barbecue y Asado. If you go up to the Flint Springs location, also in North Park and at the ballpark, you can check them out this weekend while you're at Petco Park.
I was just telling the missus we need to make the trek out to Grand Ole pretty soon with the family. Fun place. I drove to pick up some barbecue on a Sunday because I had to get out of my house, and it was delightful. But I want to go sit and eat and enjoy myself out there. So that's going to happen in the next few weeks for sure.
When we come back, I want to do we have some audio of our beloved Sammy Levit?
Yes.
From last night?
Got to do
Does
a little...
anyone know what Sammy was up to last night on what
pretty
should have
great.
been an off day? No.
Bro, just take a day. It's
No
okay.
days
It's okay.
off for Sam Levit.
He's just showing us all up.
You'll find out
I know,
what he
I
was
didn't
up
like
to.
that.
Coming up next after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. I think we've made the point a couple of times that the baseball season is a grind, not just for players and coaches and staff members, but for people who have to cover the team on a daily basis, like broadcasters and pre- and post-game show hosts. Sammy Levit's going to be working, like 162 out of 180 days the rest of the year. So those days that are truly off are rare and special and appreciated. And you certainly wouldn't expect him to go out of his way to go work another baseball game on the days that he actually does have off. But where was Sammy Levit last night? Went nowhere else than Lake Elsinore, California.
Yeah, with Jackson Merrill, too, who was also
Surely
there.
just sitting there and taking in the game, right?
Never had been to the Diamond before, he said, and had a chance to go up. But no, not just as a fan. He was invited into the broadcast booth of the Lake Elsinore Storm as a guest announcer, calling play-by-play in the middle innings and doing color commentary the rest of the time. And I clicked in just to listen to the online stream for an inning or two in the middle of the game, and he was outstanding. Of course, Sammy did sod poodles and Corpus Christi did some minor league baseball play-by-play in the past.
A lot of it.
He's done a lot of it, and he was quite good, quite sharp, sounded outstanding doing the game. And he actually got a pretty cool game last night against the Visalia Rawhides. Sammy called as the Storm came back to tie the game at 6 in the middle innings. It was still 6-6 in the bottom of the ninth. The Storm had the winning run on base, and Dylan Head, who is probably almost certainly the top prospect that the Padres have currently at the Lake Elsinore Storm, at the plate, batting there from the left side, and here's how it sounded.
New delivery. That one's going to be flared to left field and drop in for a base hit. Are you not entertained?
That's not Sam. That's the other guy.
As Dylan Head wins it for Lake Elsinore.
What a moment, and what a nice piece of hitting for Dylan Head.
Yeah,
serves one into left field against a hard-throwing Isaiah. And Dylan Head with a wonderful early moment this season in Lake Elsinore. What an ending.
What a pro. Guy sounds fantastic.
He can do it all. He can do it all.
He is the best. I love that guy.
I'm not surprised that he went out and did that because he loves doing play-by-play. That's what his passion is. And so when given the opportunity, you're going to on a day off. He's also young and has no children. So when you're young and have no children, you have boundless energy, and you don't work mornings, right? You have boundless. You can do. I used to go to work 8-hour days and go to happy hour and go out and play softball during the week. All kinds of fun stuff. Sammy's young. He's spry. He's going to be just fine. And what a great job he did. He's what an elite find for this radio station.
So according to Sammy's Twitter feed, the other guy in the booth was Robbie Loya, calling Storm games. Also, according to his Twitter bio, the Cal State University Fullerton play-by-play broadcaster. Good for him, Robbie. I see people going, oh, Sammy's voice is going to be pretty solid compared to anyone's. I thought Robbie did a nice job on that winning call there. It was fun. It was minor league, exactly what you'd want to hear in a situation like that. Had all the particulars in place, but that was it was fun to hear Sammy doing some play-by-play.
Always fun. Sammy's the GOAT.
But he'll be back. He'll be back at Petco Park tonight in the Western Metal Supply Company building in the loft for the Eco Water SoCal pregame show beginning at 5:40 this evening as the Padres take on the Toronto Blue Jays in the first of a quick 3-game series, and it's right back on the road again for your Padres next week as they head to Coors Field Monday through Thursday for a 4-game series against the Rockies. First interleague series of the season for the Padres. Last year they went to Toronto, so this year they get to see Toronto, and this is the second year of the new balanced schedule, which Tony Gwynn Jr. was not a big fan of during our roundtable yesterday. You like the balanced schedule?
It literally does not affect my life in any way, shape, or form. None what doesn't affect me, not with travel. It doesn't affect me one bit. I like seeing new players.
It affects your mental state when you don't have to face the Rockies 19 times a year.
And the Dodgers
Diamondbacks
19 times.
times
Yes,
a year,
and I know
the Giants and the Dodgers.
I mean, Chris Ello said yesterday, I want to be playing the Giants and Diamondbacks, and I can see his point there. It's but again, I do enjoy seeing other players from other teams come to Petco Park. Also, always a nice little recruiting trip for some of these guys, maybe that have never played in San Diego. You know what I mean? Honestly, this isn't the worst place to show off to a player that's going to be hitting his arb years in a couple years and oh, yeah, I would play here.
For me, I think it's just a more fair way to do it because when you're competing for a wild card spot against teams in other divisions, you really want the schedules to be as similar as possible. And while you're always going to play more games against your division rivals, when you were playing close to 80 games against your division rivals, like 18 to 20 games against the Dodgers, Giants, Rockies, and Diamondbacks, that's a completely different schedule than the teams in the Central that were playing those same number of games against the
100%,
the Reds and the Pirates. It's just going to be way easier for a decent team in the Central in an unbalanced schedule.
You're so right.
To make the playoffs as a wild card. And you shouldn't just be kept out of the playoffs even though you had a really good team because you just had to play a much tougher schedule every year.
Yeah,
and balancing it out a little bit, to me, is just the most fair way to handle it. And when it comes to a league that's going to have wild card spots for a postseason,
I couldn't agree more. And it's a great point you make.
I'm on board with that, but just hearing Tony, I listened to that part of the roundtable, and I just hadn't really considered or remembered the way it used to be and how you do control your own destiny in a sense that you have 85 games against your division.
It gets
you
so
take care of
old,
business
though.
in those games,
God,
but
yeah,
it's very
it
monotonous.
gets so
But in the old
old.
days, when the only way to make the playoffs was winning your division,
Right.
of course, that makes a lot more sense. But now that there's wild cards, and there's really one big standings of the entire National League, and that's the one that is often the most important, it makes less sense to play so many games against your own division rivals.
Yeah, it does. It does, and I'm in favor of it. It's again for me as a baseball fan, it's fun seeing new teams come in. It's fun to see Vladdy Jr. It's fun to see Bo Bichette. Fun to see these guys, and again the arms they're bringing in. I mean, good if you like baseball. These are 3 good arms they're bringing in, and it's going to test this team's mettle, which is also what you want, right? You want them. Let's go against the best.
Need realignment. It's from everything I've heard, it's coming. As soon as they get to 32, it'll look like the NFL with 4 4-team divisions in each league. But while they're still at 15 and 15 in the American and the National League, I don't think there's going to be a change coming yet. All right, we'll come back. Paulie's got some headlines with an early Ryle report. Then don't forget, top of the hour, it's the Manager's Report with Mike Shildt, brought to you by SDCCU. We'll talk with the skipper at 9 a.m., all coming up still this morning with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Well, that was a chaotic break.
It was.
A little bit.
Give me a second, and we'll update you on everything that's happening in our studio momentarily. We also have a Ryle report coming up, and don't forget, Mike Shildt, the manager of the San Diego Padres, just back from their road trip, will join us coming up at the top of the hour in our manager's report. Right now, let's get a quick check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Valvoline Instant Drive-Thru Oil Change, your 15-minute instant drive-thru oil change. You guys got this overturn crash on eastbound 54 past the 805. It's blocking the right lane. Big rig involved in this one, so it looks like they may have to shut that transition ramp to East 54 down to help clear that. The Cordell and Cordell traffic cam shows that crash has cleared on northbound 15 just before Arrow Drive. Valvoline Instant Oil Change is your drive-thru oil change. It only takes 15 minutes and you don't have to get out of your car. With all the rain lately, Valvoline is also offering replacement wiper blades. For directions and discounts, go to SoCalOilChange.com. SoCalOilChange.com. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
And get things started here with our today's edition of the Ryle Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Ryle Report with Paul Rindle.
Hi, Paul.
All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Ryle Report
Hey, Paul, how you doing? Okay, how are you?
on 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a yeah? Oh, yeah.
All right. All right. Gentlemen, how we doing?
Fantastic.
Good.
Good. Start off, I got a note in college basketball here that pertains to the local San Diego State Aztecs. Saw that yesterday it was announced that the 2024 Acrisure Classic. Acrisure. Get it today.
No idea.
I don't know what it means.
I think it's an insurance company.
Acrisure.
Yeah. Insurance company.
Call your doctor if it lasts more than 4 hours.
Oily stool.
No. Insurance.
Diarrhea.
Insurance. Acrisure.
Well, the
Loose
2024
bowels.
Acrisure Classic is the Palm Springs college basketball tournament taking place in November.
Okay.
San Diego State was
at Acrisure Arena.
At Acrisure Arena.
Go figure.
San Diego State was going to be playing in that, along with USC, Arizona State, St. Mary's. But when it was announced yesterday, San Diego State was not on the list. In fact, New Mexico Lobos were on the list.
Okay.
And we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago now.
Yeah.
I was telling you guys about this new NIL tournament that is rumored to be not rumored. I mean, it's happening.
Yes.
In Las Vegas, sometime in November, where teams are basically playing for money, for NIL money. The winning team, I think it's
like $1 million,
$2 million
$2 million
bucks,
bucks,
and
something like that. Yeah.
the runner-up gets $1 million in the tournament and divvy it up amongst all their players, and it's a fantastic idea. And San Diego State was rumored to be one of those teams, and with them not listed on the Acrisure Classic, which was at the same weekend.
It's time to get Ben's tea leaves out to read them.
These ones are pretty clear, actually.
You have not read the tea leaves in a while.
So you're only allowed to play in one multi-team event, an MTE, in the preseason. The Aztecs have had a fairly regular schedule. They do the Maui Invitational every 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
They do the Wooden Classic or whatever that one is in Orange County. They do the other one in Hawaii, and now the Continental Tire Arena one in Vegas, which they did last year. It seems like they were switching it out though when they were going to do this Palm Springs one, but now that they're pulling out of that, it sounds like they got a better opportunity for this NIL tournament.
I asked around, and my sources are telling me it is, in fact, because San Diego State pulled out of the Palm Springs tournament so they can play in the Las Vegas tournament. That's not officially announced, but that's what's happening.
Oh, good.
San Diego State.
It's a sign, again, of Brian Dutcher being creative, knowing that San Diego State's never going to have the kind of NIL money that Duke or Connecticut or some of the Kentuckys of the world have, but they still need to be able to provide some of the NIL opportunities for their players. If they want to keep getting good players and not losing them to the transfer portal, you got to provide something. And while, they have the Aztec Link and the Mesa Foundation, and they were getting players nice 5-figure NIL deals. To get some real money, they're going to have to get creative. And this tournament is one way where, I mean, think about that. If you were giving your players $20,000 to $40,000 in a year, if they can get $2 million in one tournament and spread that among a 12, 13 person roster, that absolutely skyrockets the NIL money for San Diego State in just one season right there.
That helps with recruiting, too.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, we're playing in this tournament. The chance to win some real money. That's pretty cool.
So one more time, that NIL tournament that San Diego State will, in fact, be playing in, it's called the Players Era, is what they're calling the tournament. It's going to be at MGM Arena in Las Vegas. And they're starting with 8 teams this year, and then next year it'll be 16 teams.
Killer.
Every team participating gets $1 million. The winning team gets another $1 million.
That's
so
awesome.
that's awesome. And then, we're not too far removed from the NCAA tournament. Everybody filled out their brackets. So you recognize some of these names that were also rumored to be a part of that. Alabama, Duke, FAU, Houston, Kansas, Oregon, St. John, Syracuse, Virginia.
Some good-ass company. That's what it boils down to, too.
You want to be in.
It's some good company. That's where you want to be.
And I think one of the starters on FAU entered the transfer portal, and their point guard, and San Diego State is one of the teams he's looking at to switch to.
Nice.
Which would be a nice pickup for Brian Dutcher here if they can land that guy.
This is good. This is a good point from Satan's Blowfish. He says, you want to keep your players sharp in the offseason? Can't think of a better motivator than a cash tourney.
Yeah,
100%, man. 100%.
No
really
kidding.
cool.
I mean, do the math. What's $2 million if you win the tournament? What's $2 million divided by, call it 13 players?
Yeah.
I mean, that's some good money right there.
What do you got, Benny?
According to the calculator, $2 million divided by 13 players is about $150,000 each.
Not too shabby.
Come on.
Not too shabby.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I like
even if you spread that out, you can't probably plan it every single year.
Yeah.
But even if you spread that out over, 3 or 4 seasons, that still could be an extra $30,000-$40,000 per player for like 4 years worth of NIL. That's more than they're getting like for one season. This is a huge
that was
opportunity.
$2 million split up was $150,000. So just for playing in the tournament, everybody's getting about $75,000.
Yeah, pretty solid.
No problem with that whatsoever. Now, earlier in our 7 o'clock hour, Woodsy, you admitted you were watching NHL playoffs last night.
Correct.
Except it
wasn't the playoffs. No, it was the last
Wasn't
game.
even the play-in tournament.
No,
they don't have one.
Neither team is going to the playoffs.
Yeah. You were watching the Marlins taking on the Rockies at the end of the season, essentially.
That's exactly what I was watching.
Big hockey night for you. So you're a big hockey guy. You remember Gordie Howe, of course, right?
Yeah, Hartford Whalers for a time.
So Gordie Howe, he one of his many milestones was that he was the oldest player to play professional hockey. He was 52 years and 11 days old when he played his final NHL game back in 1980.
He looked every bit of 52 also. I mean, he looked like your granddad.
Well, everyone always
Everybody
looked older
did.
back then. We've talked about this.
52 years old.
Well, that record has gone away now.
Remember, Wilford Brimley was our age when he was in Cocoon.
48 years old.
Everyone just looked older back then.
Now,
he
this
looked
was
like 75 years old.
This was not in the NHL, but Jaromir Jagr played professional hockey last night for the first time since he turned 52, and he scored. And he surpassed Gordie Howe to become the oldest player to take regular playing time in a professional hockey match.
Yeah, but Gordie Howe played in the friggin' NHL.
This was he rejoined the Kladno Knights, a top team from the Czech Republic.
Okay,
where he's from.
Yeah, I mean Gordie's still your champ in the NHL. I mean it was unbelievable. 52 years old.
The oldest.
It was Jagger's 16th game with the team. His 36th season in professional hockey. It's
amazing.
The oldest baseball player technically was Satchel Paige. He came back at age 59, but he wasn't playing regularly. He just came and appeared in a game. Modern-wise, Jamie Moyer was the modern player who lasted the longest. He pitched until he was 49 and a half in Major League Baseball.
I feel like he was still effective.
The oldest player right now is Justin Verlander at 41 years old when he comes back and gets started.
Interesting.
I didn't think he would be the oldest, but
I didn't
that
either.
makes sense.
I guess it does. They're not even signing 34-year-olds anymore right now in Major League Baseball.
All right, and then finally, we opened the show talking about some new music from one Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
You guys heard of her?
New Music Friday.
New Music Friday. It's a big day.
Big day.
Pearl
She's
Jam
a
also.
country artist, right? I remember.
Yeah,
I remember
she's
her.
dating some football player. Okay. Yeah. She released her new album last night
Albums.
at midnight. Albums. Yeah, it was. So she did it with her last album. Midnights came out at midnight, and then at 3 a.m., 3 hours later, the 3 a.m. edition came out with like twice as many songs. She did it again last night with the new album with a 2 a.m. version with like, it's got 34 total songs or something. It's
bananas.
But I was wondering if you listened to any of the Pearl Jam album that came out last night as well.
So as a,
Dark Matters?
Dark Matters. As a longtime Pearl Jam fan, I did, and I like it. I like it a lot. The single Dark Matters is really good. And then they put out a couple songs yesterday, and I listened to them, and I liked those a lot. I was texting with a buddy. We discovered Pearl Jam together many.
You discovered Pearl Jam.
You signed them?
No, we were together when we discovered Pearl Jam. And
Other people had already discovered them before you did, though.
And it's like a Sound Warehouse, and I had a gift card, and I went into Sound Warehouse, and I bought some,
Is that different than the warehouse? I remember WHEREH, the video in the store, right? You're talking about
Sound Warehouse, yeah.
We didn't have those down
All right,
here.
well,
We just had the warehouse.
Okay, we had Sound Warehouse.
Sound Warehouse.
Yeah, that's where we went.
Okay.
We walked in. I don't know. So we walked in, and I had this money to spend, and I bought a couple things, and I asked the guy for a recommendation, and it was sitting on like a display. It was Pearl Jam 10. He goes, this one. And I go, oh, cool. Where can I get it? He goes, we don't have any more. I go, I'll buy that one. And he goes, all right, fine. So he sold me the one that had already been opened. And I went in, we put it in the car, and we went, oh, my God, this is unbelievable. It was great. And I like the new sound. And it's, when a band gets older,
Are they not grunge anymore, or are they
no,
different?
grunge is dead.
It's not typical grungy Pearl Jam.
It's just like
when you're getting used to.
It does. Like when your band from your youth gets old, it's just it's a weird feeling. Like very few are able to keep it riding. Where you're like, I can't wait for the new record. Like I know it's going to be good. So I'm into it so far. I really want to see them in concert again because they put on. I mean, they'll play for 3 hours and they'll play a different set every night. I'm really hoping for a Sphere residency where I can go and do that again because that was.
You literally just want every band you've ever loved
So
to
much.
play the Sphere now.
In one day. You can do a 24-hour concert of all my
The
favorites.
Wood Sphere Festival.
Maybe I'll start working on that. No, it's so far so good. I'm going to listen to the whole thing today for sure.
Would the Tier 1 support us if we did a Ben and Woods live
Please
as the
don't.
Sphere?
No, Adam will call me later today. Hey, it's not a bad idea. And I'm going to go.
Are you guys serious?
Odyssey, we're going to need $58 million to set that up just
Way
to get
more.
started.
Way more. He will call me. Should we do a music festival? Bro, please. Just let me enjoy my Friday.
Thank you, Paulie.
Thank you, Paulie.
All right, so we had some chaos here, and it involved a couple of food drops while we were in our last break. First of all, I want to thank the guys at SDCCU came by and brought some Donut Bar donuts to remind everyone, don't forget to vote for SDCCU in the San Diego's Best Poll in the Union Tribune, which is up now. It's their annual Readers' Favorites Awards where you go online and you can vote for the next few weeks for your favorite restaurants and servers and all
Radio
different kinds of all different kinds of goods and services. Like they're in the banking category. We're in the media category, and you can actually vote for Ben and Woods for best radio show, best morning show, and best drive time show in that poll as well. So don't forget, thanks to SDCCU, to vote for them and us in the UT Readers poll. And if you're at it, you can also vote for Best San Diego Television Sportscaster, which I am also nominated for, if you'd like to include me.
Who are the nominees? Do you remember?
Let's see, the nominees are, I've got them right here. Ben Higgins, KGTV Channel 10, ABC. Brandon Stone, KUSI Channel 951, Independent. Darnay Tripp, KNSD Channel 739. Derek Togerson, KNSD Channel 739. John Howard, KFMB Channel 8, CBS. And Troy Hirsch, KSWB Channel 5, Fox. So you've got 6 choices.
Easiest decision
Thank you.
I've ever made.
Thank you.
Darnay Tripp.
What?
And it's not even close.
Darnay?
It's not even particularly close.
He just crushes
He
it.
crushes it. Huge Darnay
Troy
Tripp.
is very offended right now.
I love Troy, too. I played ball with him at fantasy camp, but he's no Darnay. Nobody's Darnay Tripp. That's my guy.
Are you serious? Really?
It's an easy
No.
choice. It's like a moronically easy choice.
I'm looking at this logically, and Darnay is great, but he and Derek, they're the same station. They're both nominated.
That's true.
They're gonna cancel some of their votes out, which I think leaves me now as the favorite.
You think you're the favorite?
Well, I'm listed first. I believe it's alphabetical by first name, but I am listed first there.
That's got to be a good sign.
That's got to be a very good sign. Ben comes before Brandon, comes before Darnay, comes before Derek.
That's right.
John, and then poor Troy, T, near the end of the alphabet, he's listed last.
We can't go wrong with all those selections. They're all great dudes and talented in their own right. But, yeah, it's far and above Darnay Tripp. It's easy. That's an easy one.
And then we also have Home State coming in with some breakfast tacos. So we are fully loaded for breakfast this morning.
Roll me out of here today.
Had the Trinity taco with a little of the green, the tomatillo salsa.
It's
so
fantastic.
Outstanding every time.
Oceanside, go get some in you. Incredible breakfast tacos.
Right there, Vista Way. You just head west, and it's before you hit the ocean at the 101. You're going to see Home State right there. Outstanding. So we are now full. And we still have an hour to go. And we got the manager coming up next. Mike Shildt will join us for the manager's report when we return with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Stay tuned for the Skipper coming up next. Final hour of Ben and Woods, Padres, very successful road trip, going 4-2 through Los Angeles and Milwaukee, two very talented teams, so we think we all would have signed up for that. But then you get greedy, and you want the sweep at the end, and you wish that they could have just played it a couple of runs and stolen that last game. Yeah, that's baseball, though. They had to feel pretty good. Coming back, the Padres open a 3-game series against the Toronto Blue Jays tonight. And joining us right now on our manager's report, brought to you by San Diego County Credit Union. It's not big bank banking, it's better. The skipper of the San Diego Padres, Mike Shildt, is back with us here on a Friday. Mike, good morning to you. Congratulations on the road trip.
Hey, good morning, guys. Yeah, good road trip. Always wanted better, but pretty darn good.
Yeah, I think everyone was, once you take a step back, right? Like Ben just said, everybody wanted to plate that run, especially with the way Michael King pitched. Skip, he was unbelievable that day, and you want to win that for him, and it's got to be tough. We've never been in the locker room after a game like that, but he's got to feel pretty proud of the way he pitched.
Yeah, I won't speak for him, but yeah, he threw the ball very, very well, and had no hit stuff through 7, and was able to hit his spots and had all the pitches working and control what he was doing, commanding the baseball. It was a well-pitched game. We'd obviously like to scratch a couple for him.
You as a manager, when you have a pitcher like Michael King, and every pitcher's different, right? Back in the St. Louis days, you probably had guys that said, no, if he gets there and it's the 8th, I'm letting him finish. But Michael King's a guy that, you guys are expecting a lot more innings than he's used to throwing. You get a little nervous when he's throwing that well in 7th inning, and you're like, oh, boy, I'm going to have to make a decision here pretty soon.
Well, that's the job. You just evaluate as it goes. He's had an extra day prior, an extra day post. I've had a lot of those decisions, a lot of different guys with a lot of different places where they're at in their careers and relative to innings and experience. So, you judge it, you weigh it, and you recognize he's working pretty efficiently. And, the 8th was starting to be a little bit of a push for him to go back out and then have a longer at bat. And then the terrain ball that, came off the bat was taken out, but just, found a spot in foul territory based on positioning, which positioning was fine. Just, it was like, okay. And then, a couple of 3-6 pitch at bats, and he had done his job.
Yep, 100%.
Now, of course, you're going to need all of your starting pitchers to step up even a little bit more while Yu Darvish is on the injured list with the sore neck. Can you tell us anything about kind of the plan to cover here while Yu's going to be out the next couple of weeks?
Well, we have planned, clearly. It'll come out as we go. Maybe it's not clear.
No, it's good to know that you've got one.
It's good to know you have
and I
a
understand
plan.
why you won't necessarily specify it out for us, Mike. I do understand that, but I have to ask the question.
Absolutely. Good bolt, man. Good try. Yeah, we'll figure it out. He's going to miss 2 to 3 starts, and we'll just evaluate it. Definitely 2. And, we're going to stay on rotation, that I can tell you. And then we'll declare a starter for tomorrow that we've got in mind.
Okay, that is interesting because you could have, with the day off yesterday, you could have moved a couple of guys up and pushed some guys back. But so you're going to stay on rotation. And I saw the Milwaukee Brewers. They like extra rest. They kept Freddie Peralta back a day, which we were all excited about. And then their bullpen guys come in and throw really, really well. Going, oh, dang, that's baseball. What is your thought on in terms of getting guys rest early in the season and just trying to cover all those innings and maximize the effectiveness of your pitchers throughout the year?
Yeah, I've done that historically. It's boded well. Going to continue to do it. You mentioned Michael. There's some comfort level in being able to, even Dylan the day before, and being able to allow guys to go a little bit deeper in games. If A, of course, they're throwing well, B, they're not working too hard, and part of the calculus also is the extra rest, which both Dylan and Michael will have, had the day prior and will have to start an extra day. So, I think it's important to look at the big picture of this thing. Over still, a longer season remaining, and recognize that we trust guys to come up and help us out, and then also, be able to give those guys that extra day.
Talking to the skipper, Mike Shildt, here on Ben and Woods this morning. And, if you're not going to tell us your pitching plans, Skip, I'm reluctant to ask about a potential lineup switch. But people are talking about Xander Bogaerts. I know he's not off to the best start, and I know he's not happy about not being off to the best start. In the leadoff spot, he's going to get probably the most ABs, or not probably, he's going to get the most ABs of anybody in the lineup. Have you guys considered moving him down, taking pressure off him? Kind of where do you guys stand on that?
There's a consideration for sure. Continue to look at it. It's as far as take the pressure off of them.
Still pressure, yeah. It could be bases loaded, right?
Yeah, there's always some pressure to the game, but it's also relative how people have handled it and their experiences. And you are talking about a guy that's been through and won 2 World Series, so
yep.
And he's had a 10+ year proven career that. We're comfortable and confident he's going to be the player that he's been. Even more recently, the guy started the season pretty well for us. He's also been a part of the lineup that's done some pretty good things. Do recognize that, there's a period lately that he's not, been his best self, and that's part of it. And now recognizing, what we need to do for him and for us. And but regardless of what move we make relative where he hits in the lineup, when he walks up to the plate, I feel pretty darn good.
We had our Padres roundtable yesterday. Every Thursday, if you ever have a day off at home, you want to join us. You're
Please
always,
don't listen. Please,
you're
I'm
always
begging
welcome.
you.
Not listen. No, I want him to come in studio. And sit
come in
down
studio.
With us.
Yeah, that'd be great.
But
please don't listen.
Last week we had the same conversation about Manny Machado, and we all said now we look silly because Manny looks absolutely fine. When you look at Xander, how as coaches do you evaluate and decide the normal ups and downs of baseballs and struggles versus, okay, yeah, we really actually do need to work on and change some things, like things are not going well? How do you make that determination between whether one is just the normal, struggles, it's hard to hit a baseball, and, yeah, this guy actually could use some changes in his swing or some sort of philosophy needs to be changed somewhere?
Well, a couple of things to unpack there, and I like them all, because the first one about, and I'm glad you admitted it. You go through and you have these conversations. Some weeks it's nobody. Some weeks it's 1 or 2 players because the game's hard, and rightfully you're going to talk about the club at its best self. And so last week you're getting fielded questions about Manny. You can feel the innuendo. What are we doing? Is it the breaks? And you move him down, and it's like, and in my head I'm going, that's Manny. He's fine. And you're starting to see some good swings, and next thing you know, he's driving balls all over the place, and usually you don't hear anything else after that.
Right? Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair.
Exactly right.
Last week the sky was falling on Manny, and it clearly wasn't. But I get that's part of the gig. Now, specific to the question, I think it's another good one. What is kind of the parameters that you look at in evaluating it? It's probably a bigger, fair, unfair. I think it's more than fair, actually, when you look at a player like a Bogey, who I've already alluded to, that's got a tremendous amount of history of production and hitting. And the thing about hitting is sometimes, again, you mentioned it, it's super hardest thing to do in all the sports. I wouldn't even argue that, but that's another time for another day. But and then you go, okay, those guys, they can have something click, and it's like, boom, here they go, i.e. Manny last week. So you're right around the corner with experienced guys that have gone through similar things. Then the next layer to that is, okay, how's the player mentally that you alluded to? You mentioned the physical part, the combination. And there's just a lot of variables, not a lot, there's variables to it. There's conversation, there's a feel. And there's a belief system in it as well. So, you evaluate all those things, and you deal with what you think is the best for the club at not only the moment, but also more of a little bit of a longer term. Because, if you're constantly knee-jerking every time somebody doesn't perform, again, I've said this, and I will always say it, you never want to underreact and just let things go and kumbaya, but you also don't want to overreact, because I think that can be knee-jerk. And I can tell you from experience observing it, and even doing it early in my career, it doesn't work long term when there's a constant, oh, he's not doing well, boom, you bounce, and nobody ever feels like they're comfortable or you have confidence in them.
No, it's good to hear that. It's good to hear that explanation, talking to the skipper, Mike Shildt, on Ben and Woods. And, you know, one of the guys, it's great that you guys were able to win a couple games without Jake Cronenworth. I know how valuable he's been this season offensively and defensively. You got to credit Matthew Batten for one of the nicest plays down the line I think I've seen in years. Getting his opportunity, hits a triple. That was fantastic. But Jakey is a big part of this lineup. How is he feeling? Can we expect to see him mashing against the Blue Jays this weekend?
I would expect him to be back in the lineup. He's going to come in today. He had a good day yesterday again. Matty Batten filled in very admirably. He made a nice play, hit the triple. Croney's, clearly stating the captain obvious how valuable he's been, not only our lineup, but our club, our defense, the whole shooting match. How he runs the bases, just his presence and how he competes. But I expect him to be back in at some point during this series, and we'll evaluate here in a couple hours, see how he's feeling relative to when that'll look like.
Mike Shildt is with us, and Mike, I know you're about winning, and I know your guys are about winning, and it's serious, it's baseball, and every game is important, but a baseball team is also a family that spends a lot of time together, and families celebrate milestones. I'm just curious, so I'm sure you know, today is Jackson Merrill's 21st birthday. He's already said it's just a day. He doesn't care.
That kid.
I don't buy it.
Will that be true for all of you, or do you is there anything special planned for Jackson tonight?
Do you need me to jump out of a cake in the clubhouse? Because I can do it for you if you need it.
Ooh.
Pass. That's fine.
Yeah, we may take you up on that. I want to see what that looks like.
No, you don't.
But maybe I don't.
You don't.
I don't know. We're going to celebrate it. We're going to acknowledge it. I'm sure there'll be something that I'm not sure, but there's likely something that there'll be a cake and guys will celebrate, and there'll be some good-natured fun with it. To what degree some of the guys take it to, it remains to be seen. But we'll celebrate with him at some point today.
21. That's incredible.
It's crazy.
So he's already up. He's 20. He's turning 21. He's already a big leaguer and playing center field and really well out there too. It's amazing.
Playing great.
He really is. Yeah. Remember to be 21.
Oh, man, I was a different person at 21 than Jackson Merrill is, certainly. That's it for.
I got one. I got one more.
Okay.
Yeah, and thanks to the beef in the chat for reminding me. We wanted to ask you about Donovan Solano, the signing about a week ago. We saw a couple of videos of him in Arizona. Not someone who was on our radar at all, but has a good track record. They call him Donnie Barrels because he hits the ball. Are we expecting to see him, and is he kind of in your plans going forward, potentially as a DH at some point, or you can move him around a little bit from what we understand?
Yeah, I know time will tell on that one. Some of that's a little bit, the timing of that's, more of a front office question. But I go back to Donovan Solano. You talk about youth in the game. So I was with Donovan when he was 16 years old in the New York Penn League for the New Jersey Cardinals.
This was like 20 years ago? Wow.
This is like 20 years ago. And so I've had a long, relationship with Donovan. He can always hit, he could always hit and, find the barrel, as you said, and had just a real professional approach. And relative to the timing, I'm not sure. The DH will be on the table, at some point, perhaps for him and maybe some other spots, but real pro and just, takes a quality at bat for sure.
All right. Good luck against the Toronto Blue Jays this weekend, then right back out on the road. But that is the life. We'll talk to you again next Friday. Thank you so much, Skip.
All right, guys. Have a good week.
Appreciate it.
There is manager of the San Diego Padres, Mike Shildt. Our manager's report brought to you by San Diego County Credit Union. It's not big bank banking. It is better. Thank you to the B for reminding me to ask about Donovan Solano. Kind of got the answer we expected. I didn't realize his history with Donovan Solano went so far back, 20 years when Mike was still first coming up in the coaching in the deep minor leagues, and Donovan was a 16-year-old, international signing out of Colombia? Is that where he's from?
I don't ask.
Either Colombia or Venezuela. I think Colombia. And has made his way and had a pretty decent, if under the radar big league career for Donovan Solano, and could be, as he said, an option at designated hitter once Manny is back on the field. But timing, he said, is more of a front office question, which I knew.
We have a fake AJ Preller in the chat. He says he gives consent to bring him up. So Mike Shildt, if he needs him, he can bring him up. According to fake AJ Preller.
What if
it was
the
real
AJ Preller, thinking no one's going to believe it's me, so I can say whatever I want?
That's true. That's
in
true.
the chat.
That's exactly right.
We're also skeptical nowadays.
Yeah,
especially online.
I liked what he said, and I do. It is, I think, refreshing to hear. I mean, he knows that Xander's getting the most ABs at night and not swinging the bat well, and they've considered moving the lineup around a little bit, and hopefully that works. Hopefully that sparks. Yeah. Taking pressure off somebody by moving them into the 5 hole, it's a different AB, certainly, but you could come up and leave. If you're not swinging it well, you come up and leave 12 guys on, feasibly in a night. That's not good.
Yeah, we can react to that when we come back. We get a couple more segments before Annie and Elston talk about what we just heard from Mike Shildt. After a check of traffic, more Ben and Woods on the way on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Our thanks again to Padres manager Mike Shildt. I hope the Tier 1s are enjoying the regularity of those conversations as much as I know I am.
It's everything. It's everything. Period. The end. You know, it really is. And having a manager on every 6 weeks and be like, well, what happened in that game? And what happened in that game? And why did you do this? This is week to week, you know, and it's everything. And it just makes it so much more enjoyable, in my opinion. That's just my opinion, though. And I do see a lot of people in the chat saying that was great. You know, he seems great. And he's a very thoughtful baseball man. Somebody said in the chat, and I'd love to sit on a porch and drink beer with him and talk about baseball. I go, yeah. That's the dream, and he loves.
Or to P.F. Chang's.
Or P.F. Chang's.
Works either way.
He's a baseball rat, man. The guy loves talking ball, and I like how candid he is. Now, look, he's not going to be able to tell you things like somebody said. You mean Preller? When he said about Solano, and they're like a non-answer, and I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, that's not uncommon that the manager doesn't typically do call-ups and send-downs. That's usually the general manager.
True.
So
now, I'm sure they talk about it.
Oh, absolutely.
And, what possible usage they're going to have
How
for a
could they
guy.
do it?
But you never want to specifically, oh, yeah, he's coming up on Monday. Like, that's the plan. Because things change, and then when it doesn't happen, then you sound like you lied or something.
Right.
And you don't ever want to set yourself up for those circumstances when you don't have to. It's an unforced error.
No, he's great.
Basically to give away information that you don't have. And same when I asked about you, Darvish, and filling in. You don't need to tell the Toronto Blue Jays exactly what your plan is. He actually gave a lot saying we're going to stay on rotation, which means after tonight's game when Matt Waldron pitches, tomorrow's game is going to require some sort of plan. Whether they call up a pitcher from the minor leagues to start, or they set up a bullpen game, whether it's a Brito, Morejon, and get as many innings as you can out of your bullpen. But they're not going to move up Joe Musgrove to Saturday, and then Dylan Cease to Sunday, and Michael King to Monday. They want to make sure those guys have that extra day from the day off, so they have 5 days in between starts instead of 4. They want that extra rest. That's valuable, just like it was for Pat Murphy and the Brewers when they wanted to make sure Freddie Peralta got some extra rest. So they're not going to do that. It's not like a must-win game where they feel like they need their best starter on Saturday. They'll figure something out tomorrow.
It'll be fun to see.
And for possibly another start or two after that until Yu Darvish is back.
It'll be fun to see, and they may do 3 separate things in all
That's
3
true
of those
too.
starts.
Yeah, that is
They
true.
could go bullpen day Saturday.
Call
and
someone
call
up in
someone
Coors
for the next
Field.
one. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. And the thing is baseball always looks so easy on the surface to say. Well, it's simple. You call up whoever's throwing the best and at AAA, and he gets that spot start. What if he goes an inning? What if he goes a third of an inning, gives up 6 runs? It's a bullpen day. Then you're in a bullpen day. So the decisions you make affect everything else, because I know that he won't tell you that he is, but he's absolutely thinking in the back of his mind, I got 4 games coming up in Colorado too. I've got to be very careful about what I do.
He has to.
And that you have to. You've got a game plan for, not only a week down the road, a month down the road. And it's hard to do. And they say 1 inning at a time, 1 AB at a time. And that's fine for the players, manager, the GM. They got to be thinking. He always talks about long term. Well, we got to be thinking long term. We're only 21 games into this thing. There's 140 games to go. So it is going to be interesting to see how they deploy what they have and that's what Tony Gwynn Jr. said yesterday. This is what good teams do. They figure out a way to make it work. And even if you let's say you call up a guy, Ben, from AAA, and he doesn't really have the best stuff, but he gives you 6 innings, 5 innings, that's good. That's a win in the organization's eyes.
And look at what the Rangers did yesterday. They called up a prospect to make a start. Wasn't particularly good.
Gave him 3 innings.
But they won the game anyway.
They did win the game.
They figured out a way to win the game. It was with the offense. And sometimes your offense is going to need to step up on days when you're not at full strength in your pitching rotation. There are multiple ways to win a baseball game, and you're going to have to win them all sorts of ways. With dominant pitching performances, just by out-slugging another team 12-11. You'll have those games throughout the course of the season. You just have to find out ways to win them. I also, for the record, I do agree with him for the most part when it comes to Xander Bogaerts. And because he has established such a track record, not for a few months or a season or two, but over the course of many years of being a very good offensive player. You just have to ride it out. Now, it doesn't mean he has to bat leadoff, but you do have to just continue to play him until he figures out whatever's not going well, until he gets that moment that he gets locked in like Manny did, looks like about a week ago. And there's not
Kim, too.
Yeah,
I
there's
mean-
not much else you can do when it comes to Xander Bogaerts. He's not going to get locked in by sitting on the bench for 3 days.
No, it's not. He's not a high school kid
No.
that got caught drinking.
No.
You know, like it's you're going to ride the bench and watch your teammates play, and you're going to sit here and wear it. You know,
You don't punish.
they don't
Xander
punish a guy
Bogaerts
for having
a
a
lack of
slump.
production. He's punishing himself enough, I'm sure.
I'm sure
in his own mind.
Yeah, but he, again, I would.
I thought you phrased it well though. The leadoff guy gets the most at bats. Do you want Xander getting the most at bats of
Correct.
anyone
That's-
right now? And
that's what it boils
even Mike
down
Shildt
to.
goes. I mean, we've talked about it. Obviously, you can't ignore that aspect of it. Yeah, you can't stop him from coming up in clutch situations. You don't know where
Correct.
they're going to come up. The most important at batter of the game could be the 8 hitter or the 6 hitter or the 9 hitter on any given day. But you do know that the number 1 hitter is in hole going to get more at bats than anyone else. And do you want Xander Bogaerts getting more at bats than anyone else on your team right now when there are 8 other guys right now who are hotter than him in the lineup? And I would argue that the answer to that is a clear no.
I agree. I agree 100%. And I'd be surprised. I'd be surprised if he was still leading off tonight. So,
Now,
but stranger
you
things have
drop him
happened.
down to 7, and he has 3 good days. I have no problem moving him right back up.
Right.
Once he gets going.
Yep.
Just for now, I'd move him down at least 5, 6 deeper into the order than where he is.
Encouraging news about Jake Cronenworth.
Yeah, very. And if you read between the lines a little bit, he did talk about what's best for him, what's best for the team, right? And he did. And it sounds like that's something that they may have potentially addressed with this team after last season. When
I think they definitely.
I think they addressed it as well. And I think that was addressed by not only management, but I think it was addressed by maybe some of the leaders in the room too, of saying, "Hey, man, your numbers are your numbers. You're going to get them. You're good. Everyone's good baseball players. We have to do what's right for the San Diego Padres
just
first."
from our
I do believe that.
From our conversations with Manny in spring training, whether it was Manny just deciding on his own or whether Mike Shildt or someone kind of got in his ear a little bit, Manny clearly came at this season with a different perspective.
Correct.
In terms of just production and attitude. And he does get his numbers, but it's a different, and he sets the tone, and it's a different vibe this year. No doubt about it. All right, we've got some tickets to give away. Another 4-pack for the San Diego Mojo. They're San Diego's new pro volleyball team. If you want to check them out at Viejas Arena on April 23rd, they'll be taking on the Omaha Supernovas. And we're giving away a 4-pack of tickets right now to the third caller at 833-288-0973. Third caller, 833-288-0973. Mojo Supernovas tickets, Viejas Arena. You can get your own tickets to check them out at provolleyball.com. Very simple website URL for you. All right, final segment of Men and Woods of the Week. Paulie has put together the extended mix
Oh, my gosh.
of things Ben likes. So we'll get the whole package to wrap up our week before Annie and Elston coming up next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. What's everybody got this weekend? Well, we'll talk about that here coming up.
The answer is what don't.
Yeah, it is a busy weekend for all of us. We will lay that out and get you to things Ben likes. And Annie and Elston coming up at 10 o'clock this morning. And, of course, Padres baseball. Tonight, EcoWater SoCal pregame show with Sam Levit at 5:40. Padres and Toronto Blue Jays at 6:40 tonight. We'll talk about all of it after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
We still have this traffic alert on the eastbound 54 at the 805, overturned big rig blocking the right lane. Looks like they may have had to shut down the south 805 to the eastbound 54 transition to clear that, but I'm not showing a lot of slowing in the area, so can't confirm anything. Also, collision in the North County, westbound 78. This is right before Rancho Santa Fe. Got the slow lane block, couple vehicles involved, tow trucks rolling up. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
You know what I'm doing this afternoon?
Golfing.
Yes, but it's business golf.
Oh, boy.
I've never really done business golf. I know a lot of people do.
Here's
like
the thing.
Here we go.
business golf. Like try to get some stuff done while you're on the golf course. I've always just played golf to play golf. It's fun for me.
I don't want to tell you what you can and can't do. Put limitations on you. You're incapable of playing business golf.
I think that probably is true.
At it.
Yeah.
Paulie's very
you
good at it.
You can schmooze and
Paulie
discuss, and I get locked into the golf. I'll forget doing any of the business whatsoever.
Paulie and I have planned entire weeks on the golf course of content and ideas. And then we like, Ben, what do you think about this idea? It's like, I had a 7-iron there. I probably should have switched balls there because this was a low spin ball and I needed a high spin ball. And my putting was just a little bit off. And I'm like, why did I ask? Why did I ask? Why did I ask?
Fair.
So you are actually
Maybe you should be playing golf today instead of me.
I probably should
No,
have.
just we're going to be discussing the Ben Woods Open, which we're still working on, and hopefully have the announcement soon. But
it's incredible
playing
to
a little business golf this afternoon.
And
then
I would do anything to just have a camera on you the whole time. See how much business. I feel like after you putt out on 18, you're gonna be like, I forgot to ask you about the
whole business part of the whole golf thing.
The business thing.
No, that's fair. That's actually fair.
I got a Seals game tonight.
All right.
At Pechanga Arena, San Diego.
With the coach who hates you.
The coach who hates me. If you missed that story earlier, we told it, but there was a game. He was coaching for another team, and the replay thing was screwed up all night. The shot clock was off, and he was furious. And he wrote on a whiteboard, cheater, and held it up and stared at me like a serial killer. We have a picture of it, and I tweeted it this morning. I don't have any control over clocks or replays or anything.
I believe you. I don't think you're a cheater. If you did have control over the replay, though,
I couldn't bring myself to do it.
Could you?
Because I wouldn't get. I don't want to get caught.
Like you knew the Seals scored a goal. You knew it was going to be overturned. So you just pulled the plug on the replay machine, and they weren't able to overturn the call at the last second.
The funny thing about the NLL is they can't move on with the game until they see 2 replays. You can't move on with the game. So if the replay thing's broken, and it was that night, you have to sit there and rot until they figure it out. And usually, so I'm in the.
Sorry, we're in our second hour of a replay delay tonight.
I'm in the booth, and you know me. What do I have to do every 20 minutes? PP. I just want to get out. I would never delay the game 1 second longer than it had to be, because every time you see me at the Seals game, there was a point where I have to hold with my hand like my kids do. I'm holding it going, please end this game. I'm begging. There's nowhere to go. I'm in the penalty box. So the Vancouver Warriors coming tonight. He's now their head coach. Should be a good game. I mean, we're not playing for a whole hell of a lot other than the integrity of the league, right? You still have to run your best.
Yeah, for all the other teams.
All the other
you have
teams.
to give your best effort.
That's exactly right. And but I'm gonna be, I'm gonna be me, banging on the glass, having fun. You can get your tickets at sealslax.com if you've never been to a game. It's so much fun. And then tomorrow night, I'm emceeing a little charity work on the side, Ben, at AleSmith, our beloved AleSmith, for the Anvil of Hope 80s party. And it's we're raising money. It's anvilofhope.org. Tickets are still available, 6 to 10 p.m., 21 and over, food, raffle, live music. I am dressing up. It's an 80s.
In a tuxedo dressing up?
No, bless you, Paulie. It's an 80s party. So I'm dressing up as
can't wait.
As one of the Beastie Boys. So I have like a Run DMC shirt. I've got a chain. I've got a bucket hat.
What's a Run DMC shirt?
A shirt from the band Run DMC.
Just like a T-shirt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, not
They
like a
didn't
type
wear
of-
like
no.
specific shirts,
like
that they
pirate
wore.
shirts or something.
Yeah,
No.
I wasn't sure if there was like a
The Seinfeld
style
puffy
of shirt.
shirt?
Yeah.
No.
But it was missing. It's like a tracksuit shirt or something. Or what are we going here?
I'm doing that.
Do we need pictures of that, please?
Okay, I'll send you guys pictures. I have no problem embarrassing myself, as you know. But I'm excited about that. Try to raise some money and do some good
I
things.
think Shelly and I are going to go to the game tomorrow night just for fun. Game 2 of the series, and then. Paul, you got anything before Sunday? We're all going to be at the game on Sunday.
Be at the game on Sunday.
Yeah. Don't have a whole lot of plans actually this weekend.
Not going to any games or Sunday.
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 Yeah. Sunday's a long day.
It's going to be a long day. We have a Tier 1 game.
Baseball in the morning.
If you'd like to come to that.
Padres baseball in the afternoon, and then I get to play on a radio show at night.
If you're just a huge Woods fan, I'll see you at the game tonight. And then I'll see you at the Anvil of Hope tomorrow. And then at the Tier 1 baseball game on Sunday at Vista Sports Complex at 9 a.m.
And by that point, you'll have the restraining order.
Correct. My wife, who loves me, she is coming to this. I was going to say, she's not coming to any of those. She is coming to the Seals game with the kids tonight, so which will be fun. And but no, it's a busy weekend. So and then you're out a couple days next week.
I have to actually start my vacation prep this weekend because I work Monday all day, Monday and Tuesday, and then I'm leaving right after not even after the show, during the show on Wednesday. So I really have to kind of have my clothes cleaned and packed for the most part by the time the weekend's over because I don't have much of a time to do it. So I'll have to do some vacation prep this weekend as well.
And like, you mean washing your clothes?
Yeah, just having I want to have the right clothes like ready for golf and everything.
I have never packed a suitcase more than 12 hours ahead of my
Really?
trip.
Never a couple days before. You just want to make sure
Night before.
because
Night
you don't
before,
want to
day before.
But you don't want to then you wear something you realize I shouldn't have worn that. I wanted to take that on the trip.
That I'll plan in my head.
Okay,
but
you
I
can do
won't-
that in your
yeah, I
head
can do that
because
in
I'll
my
just
head.
pull out the things. Okay, don't wear these because I need to take these and I don't want them to be dirty. I don't want to have to do laundry again at the last minute.
Yeah,
So I'll pull out the
which I get.
important stuff.
So you're going on a golf trip. All you're going to have
Correct.
to do is just bring
Golf
some
clothes,
collared
mostly,
shirts
yeah.
and can't wear shorts. I bet where you're playing.
I think we can. It's desert.
It's
It's
Vegas.
hot.
Yeah.
I think they are okay with
Okay.
shorts. Although I don't think it's going to be hotter than like 85, which is
great.
not bad at all.
And so you leave on
Not bad.
Thursday.
Wednesday.
You leave on
Wednesday.
Wednesday. You're leaving like an hour early.
No, 9 a.m. on Wednesday.
So you might as well just not come in on Wednesday.
No. We're doing mock the draft on Wednesday.
We are, but when you go on vacation, it's not only are you missing the days that you're actually off, it's the day before,
right?
The day of,
which is fine. If you don't want to come in on Wednesday, then I'll just be bad on Tuesday.
But so then don't come in on
No,
Tuesday.
then I'll just be bad on Monday.
So we'll see you next
I
week.
guess I'm
We'll see
already
you in
on
2 weeks.
vacation.
Yeah, I was gonna say we'll just see you in 2 weeks. We were driving home. Ben had to drive me home yesterday. He goes, just like this, out of nowhere. 8 more works until vacation. And I went, oh, we're dead. We're absolutely dead next week. Ben is going to be checked out most of next week. So it's going to be a long weekend, followed by a very, very long week.
True.
Very excited.
Maybe I should have checked out already, just right now.
Yep,
I
you
could be
could.
completely checked out, and this last segment could just be a disaster, like it always is.
It always is.
We could have to apologize for this segment right now.
At 9:48.
4-ish.
Forgot
I
it.
didn't have it.
He
I
didn't
forgot
have it
about
ready.
it.
I forgot it too.
I even
Sorry.
texted him. I said, Pete Fairbanks. We need Pete Fairbanks
we did.
here.
9:44.
In our
Damn
last
it.
segment.
Forgot.
We need to set our alarms or something just to make sure we get our Pete Fairbanks fix now every day at 9:44.
Calvin said it's par for the course. I get it. It totally is. I'm exhausted. I want to be here for you for 4. I'll give you 3:30. Okay, I'll give you 3:30 is my best effort on Friday. That's all I got for you, man.
I thought you were queuing up for things Ben likes.
No, I
I'm
wanted the Pete
that's
Fairbanks.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, I
I don't
wanted.
check my phone because I'm locked into the show.
Yeah, guys
here
locked
right
into
now.
the show.
Play it one more time. Pete, find it and play it because it was the highlight. We need to make this a habit.
At 9:44.
At 9:44 every day. I don't want to be forgetting this. I want this to be a regular thing at 9:44 every day.
So badly.
Yeah.
We're so bad at this
I
too,
know.
but I really want it to be our regular 9:40. No matter what we're doing. You stop down.
Right there.
And boom, play Pete Fairbanks.
Not going to let it beat me up for, I'll maybe give it till 10. It's 9:44 right now. We'll give it 16 minutes of sulk, and then we'll, get back on the bump and figure it out.
So good, dude. I love it. I love it so much. 16 more minutes of sulk.
Here we go. Long version.
Long version.
I like good, juicy, sweet strawberries.
I like a good marching band. I like a good thin pancake.
I like a Nickelback song or two.
I like a barbecue chicken pizza. I really like those seeds. I like a midnight buffet. I kind of like the smell of soft scrub. I like more of a small derriere. I like cake.
I like Ed Sheeran.
I like both a hamburger and a cheeseburger. I like clocks. I like how I've kind of set up my life. I like grasshopper pie.
Oh, no, I like it creamy. I like good, firm banana.
I like just looking out at the sea. I like eating.
I like moist.
I like curry.
I like big butts.
I like fried Brussels sprouts. I like more of a firm filling. I like corn.
I like Nordstrom. I do like musicals.
I like pepperoni. I like nice hotels. I like Nick getting a start today. I like nuts. I like Steph Curry. I like that song.
I like Squirt.
I like Saki. I like San Diego State.
I like Straight Up, Paula Abdul.
I like the beef and broccoli. I like to mix it up. I like Science Experiments. I like that song. I like the crispiness of the waffle. I really like cheese. I like the little lunch meat. I like very straight lines. I like cannelloni. I like a well-crafted headline. I like brown sugar. I like maps. I'll say I like Justin Turner.
I like going to Gulls games. I like diving into chores.
I like sugar.
I do like Butterfinger. I like blue and silver are not bad colors. I like the time change. I like Major League Baseball's new rule. I like the radio. I like geography. I like the knuckle method. I like Skippy. And I like pie. I like Bob Melvin. I really do. I like Jace Tingler, too. I like this day. I like being right. I still do like movie scores. I like good food. I like maps. I like when interviews can turn into organic conversation. I do like a Stouffer's French bread pizza. I like having the wind go through my hair. I think I like shows that the characters have an arc. I like the full lettuce, tomato, onion experience as well. I like those kind of burgers. I like the big overflowing bag of fries. I like those little Smarties rolls. I liked what I saw from Seth Lugo. I liked his competitive fire. I like walking around between the different lands. Steve Kerr, though, I like that. I like living on the coast. I like watching Tiger still. I like the idea of that matchup. I liked what I saw in the preseason. I like the aloneness sometimes of Texas Hold'em. I like watching San Diego State basketball. I like those cashew-buttered cashews. I like cold, clear sake. I like a lot of things. I like Chick-fil-A sauce. I just like rankings. I like Steve Winwood. I like Pie Gal Poker. I like to be informed on subjects. I like Chicago. I like Tom Petty. I like the idea of another left-handed bat in the lineup for sure. I do like a good Matt Damon film. I like being on the same page. I like broccoli. I like Brussels sprouts. I like a lot of things. I like this shirt. I like Wipeout. I liked my omelet. I like San Diego State at home. I like when a baseball player can be more than just a baseball player. I like vanilla. I like the atmosphere. I like the felt on a poker table, just kind of how it feels under your fingers when you're there. I like rhubarb pie. I like the window seat. Changing the subject. I like that. I like just the standard yellow peep. I like how San Diego State's playing right now. I like finer things. I like calling a game. I like fiction more than nonfiction, just like the cream. I actually like playing golf with other people. I've liked everything I've seen so far from Mike Shildt. I like Mexican food. I like just the solar system. I do like steak. I like specifics. I like going to 7 Mile Casino during the day. I like that people are there having a good time. I like my new eating schedule. I liked what I was eating. Yeah, I like the variety of the menu at Sammy. I do like a good midnight buffet. Holy cow, let me just say, if you didn't hear your name mentioned at this point, you probably should start to worry.
Seriously. Holy cow.
Wow.
What felt longer, that or Bob Dylan's 14-minute opus?
This is much more enjoyable.
Yeah, I enjoyed that very much.
I did not. I was sweating
scary.
profusely the entire 17 minutes.
Ben is out Thursday and Friday. I'm ready for the next Bob Dylan bit. Okay.
Have fun with that.
I'm going to. Something. I'll cook something up. It'll be different.
Oh,
Man, that was long and awesome. Thank you, Ben, for liking so many things.
All right. Everybody have a really good weekend. I hope you like your weekend out there.
I hope to.
Annie and Elston are coming up next for our executive producer and imaging director, Paul Ryle. For Stephen Woods, I'm Ben Higgins. Have a great rest of your Friday, all weekend long. We'll talk to you again Monday morning at 6 a.m. right here on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. So long, everybody.